Hello. I definitely was not stuffing my face. That there. So I was trying a new overlay real quick. So I'm wondering if this is better, or if I should maybe make this the default, or it's the stage. I don't know. I don't think either one is really that much better than the other, but I think the stage has more flavor to it. Well, hello, Gum. Hope you're having a good day. I thought about doing something else, but I can talk, so I'm going to be talking a lot either way, so I figured might as well go with the thing that is all talking. But recap, for those who are lurking and watching the VOD or whatever, although that's not many people, we just got through our, or just for people who forgot, it's been a while, we just got through our trial with Mr. McGilded, who we at first thought was totally innocent. Like, I was banking on that suicide idea, but he was caught murdering a man in a omnibus, which I don't really know what the purpose of that is. I guess it's just a multi-form taxi. I don't know. It's just a bus. It's just the omnibus. But upon being convicted, we were given a test to get him the not guilty verdict, even though he was clearly guilty, and now I'm wondering if Mr. Strongheart knew that he was guilty, or if he was paid to say that he wasn't guilty. But we also met a girl who was a thief, a pickpocket, and she had a smokescreen launcher that was made by some inventor girl that we didn't get the name of yet. But she put a tracker in it and found out that, hey, you're the one who stole my thing. Well, come here and apologize. But we fought Dracula in the trial, which was interrupted by the smokescreen bomb, and more evidence was put onto the omnibus that was dragged into the scene itself. Take an Agubus and a Gababus and fuse them into an omnibus. I think I'll stick with Omnimon. I was never a fan of that spin-off, the Digibus. The Magic School Bus was one thing, but when they brought in, like, the whole, alright kids, let's go explore the interwebs, and, made the Digibus, I wasn't a fan of that spin-off. It was just a cash grab. Trying to ride that internet bus. I was gonna say train, but it's a bus. The early 2000s were really crazy. Especially because they were all, like, children. Like, even younger children in that version, because every cartoon had to have a baby spin-off back in the day. And for some reason, they chose babies for the internet one, which is weird. But I guess the internet was a baby at that point, right? Have I let this bit go on for too long? Anywho, a bunch of really obvious fake blood was added to the omnibus at the end of the trial. And it's weird that they just let the guy go with that. Like, we could clearly just touch the blood and be like, this is fake. Like, this is not dry at all. Like, how would they explain that if it wasn't dry? What else was there? But, oh yeah, we found out the guy was most likely faking being such a cool guy, because he kind of showed his true colors at the end and was like, this trial's over. I don't care what the rest of you have to say. It's over. It was just a formality. And then one of the bailiffs just let him into the courtroom with the omnibus, and they set it on fire. Still don't really know what the deal is with that. Scotland Yard is proving once again to be very, very lackluster. Anywho, now we're at the beginning of part 4, The Adventure of the Clouded Kokoro. We don't know if he set it on fire. If he didn't set it on fire, I'll eat my socks. Oh yeah, and someone was trapped inside of it. I doubt it was him, but we'll see. It would be kind of funny if it was him. But if it was him, then who would set him on fire? And like, who else would set it on fire? The girl left, so it wasn't her. Like, she went with someone else, with the doctor. Yeah, I could see him maybe faking his own death. Like, they'll never catch me if I'm not alive, right? Right. But I could also see it being, like... I could also see it have been being fair play. Who owed him money. Like, maybe... Like, Flame was on about it before, how he had no reason to kill the Masonist guy, the guy with the brick maker, Mr. Mason. But maybe that's how he pays them back if they don't pay him in time. He kills them. He has no reason to do so. But... You know, the crazy, evil people don't really have a reason for being evil. You know? Oh yeah, and also we fought Dracula. I don't remember his actual name off the top of my head, but he was the prosecutor, and he seems to know how Mr. McGilded works. So we'll probably be seeing more of him, and he seems to have some respect for us. He still keeps calling us his Nipponese friend, but he seems to respect the fact that we were going for the truth and not just defending him for money. Anyways, Adventures of the Clouded Kokoro. What does that mean? I don't know. I don't know what a Kokoro is. Do we get more of Sholmes talking? Episode 4.
I begin to think, Wilson,
said Sholmes,
turning his head languidly in my direction, that there is more to this case than that which we have observed.
Well, yes,
Indeed,
we can't observe
that there
everything.
may be another part to this story that we are yet to discover.
You can't see everything.
His eyes wandered, following the steam rising from his cup of herbal tea.
With his 20/20
leading
vision.
him to the distant memory of that snowy evening. To the young lady collapsed on the pavement along Briar Road, and to the knife in her back.
I hope that's not Sasato.
Lit in the soft
We can't lose
glow
both of our
presence,
friends, right?
The most extraordinary scene had been set. And under the cover of a light fog, the curtain had risen silently on the insoluble mystery of our invisible killer.
The British Supreme Court. Lord Chief Justice's office. This is his actual office? I thought this was just the main room. Would you want an office that's this big? Like, when someone comes to visit you to report something, like, are they just standing all the way down here? Hey, sir! I got a report that there was a murder. What? There was a murder, Lord! Did you sleep last night, Mr. Naruto? No, not at all. It was an enormous hotel, wasn't it? Rooms were so luxurious, I felt like we were staying in a palace. We're standing in one right now. With all the gas lights twinkling, it was even brighter than day in the middle of the night. What about the enormous beds? After my time on the SS Buria, I wasn't gonna waste a single inch of that space. Spent the entire night rolling from one side of the mattress to the other. Oh yes, it really was the sort of night you could only dream of normally. Except... When I learned that we owed £3 for the rooms, that dream quickly turned into a nightmare. Oops! Sorry about that. The building was so impressive and the entrance so inviting, I just wandered in without thinking. I mean, we got paid like £4 anyways, right? We got paid for that, right? I mean, we got 3 coins thrown at us, but... In a lodging house in Japan, that sum of money would have put a roof over your head for a whole year. No, it wouldn't. I did try, but I'm afraid I couldn't help my tears when we were presented with the bill. Really am sorry. Well, never mind. We must find a more affordable lodgings straight away, though. If we're not careful, our entire stipend will be used up in 10 days or less. London's a scary place.
Ah, good morning to you at this early hour. It's me, your favorite guy, Mr. Lionheart.
Oh yes, well... Good morning to you, Lord Chief Justice. Come to report on our outcome of the trial of the Old Bailey yesterday. Sasato's amazing, doesn't even bat an eyelid, even in the presence of an imposing Lord Strongheart.
Yes, I believe you've batted like 5 eyelids at me. I believe you had a very comprehensive initiation into the British courtroom practices, and realized how stupid the jury is.
I forgot to mention we also had a jury of 6 people who were completely useless, and really were just there to waste our dang time. Oh yeah, it was very, eye-opening, thank you. In accordance with your instructions, Lord Strongheart, Mr. Naruto performed his duty to the end.
Yes, I've already been appraised of events. You conducted a remarkable defense. You may consider the test passed.
Oh!
No longer are you a student from the Empire of Japan. You henceforth claim to be a fully fledged lawyer. Where did those birds come from? I told the janitor to clean those up. Well, he's fully fledged dead next time I see him. My country is delighted to welcome a young talent from such a remote eastern island. There was no I in there. In fact, there's no I in land. Yet it is land.
Thank you very much. So I'm a lawyer now. I better present my lawyer badge.
Now, in view of your appointment, I have a fresh case in mind for you. I'd like to take it on at once. I trust that won't be a problem.
Could I maybe get like a second to find a house? Another case already?
Nothing trains a lawyer better than practical experience at being a detective, most likely. I'm sure I don't sense dissatisfaction, do I?
It's just that yesterday's trial ended, unusually. I haven't quite come to terms with it.
What's come to terms with it? The man was cleared. What more were you hoping for?
The truth? For things to not be set on fire?
Culpability of the defendant has not, at present, been established in this court. Consequently, jury will not be required to prefer judgment.
Well, Lord Van Zeeks, it's been a pleasure, so it has. As for you, my dear fella, I couldn't have asked for a better defense. Or I could have, but I wouldn't have been able to pay for it. And I like that the back of his head is just a ring, and also it clips into his outfit. I just can't help but wondering if Mr. McGilder really was innocent. Mr. Naruto, it's just that I never managed to discern the truth. And then the trial ended.
Well, you needn't let it trouble you for a second longer.
Sorry? What do you mean, Lord Strongheart?
He's dead.
You were right. He was the one stuck in the thing.
Magnus McGild passed away immediately following the trial.
No! What? Mr. McGild is dead?
Yes. And so are those birds the next time I see them. I have 19 minutes and 41 seconds until my next engagement. Time enough to talk. Snap.
Something important I should be looking at here. Oh. Oh no. Lawyer's name's embroidered on the inside here, look. Kazuma Asogi, that was his band, of course. But I will stick with the idea that he probably faked his own death. Unless... like, who else would have been in the courtroom when he was killed? Yes, he's clearly evil because he has a pocket watch and is very... he's the kind of person where if you waste a minute of his time, he will probably kill you. Like, if we keep talking and we end up being a minute over his next engagement, he will probably kill us. He had his heart set on the study tour in Great Britain. I'm sure he would have found the truth he longed for here. He lost his life before he even had the chance to see the place. I have such a strong sense of his hopes and dreams when I look at this armband, though. What exactly was our plan? These are the scales of justice. They're a symbol of defense, aren't they? Yeah, that's right. Scales are a symbol of fairness to show that all are treated equally in the eyes of the law. A shame they're always tilted towards the guilty thing whenever you're wearing this thing. They're a warning to those who enter the courtroom without impartial mind. But if they're the mark of the defense, be more suspicious that they were weighing more heavily on the not guilty side, I think. Very impartial, I'm sure. No, everyone is guilty until they're proven to not be. Hang on, let's see what he says about this. This strong art may show you this. To accept this item, I issue a receipt for examining it thoroughly and make a formal statement of my findings would require something in the region of 24 seconds of my time. Sorry? Does the item warrant 24 seconds of my time, Mr. Naruto? Let's leave it for now. See what I mean? He would definitely kill someone for wasting a minute of his time. But also, I kind of figured he would have, like, a little more to say on our lawyer armband. I don't understand. What happened? How can he be dead? After the trial concluded yesterday, there was a great commotion in the Old Bailey. As you presumably recall, an omnibus had been wheeled into the courtroom. How you didn't know it caught on fire is beyond me. Yeah, of course, I was there. That was the scene of the crime which Mr. McGill had been accused of. Precisely. Well, while the bailiff's attention was diverted by some other matter, the omnibus went up in flames. No! How could such a thing have happened? Well, you see, the sunlight was trying to kill... let's see if he's in the thing. Nope, he's not. Was trying to kill Dracula, you know, the Grim Reaper. Lord McZeeks or whatever. And, it missed and hit the omnibus. That is being investigated as we speak, but already you can tell that there's a strong possibility that Scotland Yard will not be able to find anything, as they never do. The police have identified a corpse found inside the charred shell of the carriage as that of Mr. McGill. That's awful! The man must have slipped inside while the bailiff's attention was elsewhere. Now, did they actually identify his corpse, or did they just assume it was him because it was wearing his hat? That bailiff really needs to pay more attention. I'm sorry, I was getting a call from the princess of Britain. How could that have happened? I don't know. That is also being investigated as we speak. It'll be done in about 3 minutes or they're fired. The 3 minutes and 75 seconds, which is really 4 minutes and 15 seconds, but I like to summarize things in a neat and compact manner. Thinking back now, immediately after the trial, Mr. McGill did mention going back to the courtroom to look at the omnibus. Hey, I'm hearing your flashback. Well, must be making tracks now. 'Tis the time for the inspection. They're gonna examine the omnibus again, so I'm told. I asked if I could be present for him myself, even though I'm the accused and possibly the one who edited the courtroom anyways.
Indeed. As inspector of the omnibus? Not to my knowledge, I don't believe Scotland Yard had any intention of re-examining the carriage.
But then who was Mr. McGill talking about?
Never mind that now, you're wasting my time. The Yard is making a thorough investigation. This matter no longer any concern of yours, leave it to the police.
But the police suck. Poor Mr. McGill.
So, how did you find your first taste of our country's Supreme Court?
Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, it was... wow! Mr. Naruto means that the whole experience was steeped in the solemnity of Great Britain's long history. It's really a world apart from our own judicial system in Japan, which is only a few short decades old. Wow, Susato has just such a way with words. Even though that's not what I was feeling at all. I thought she was better at mind reading. And you seem to have a way of failing to find the right ones. No, never mind. I guess she can read my mind just fine.
The judicial system here is most advanced in the world. Learn all you can. About birds.
Most advanced in the world, is it?
It was fortunate that your very first trial was a simple affair.
Simple? That was simple?
Well, of course, it only took, like, 4 hours. As I believe I mentioned yesterday morning, it was a trial you couldn't lose.
I don't mean to be contrary, Lord Strongheart, but... the case was anything but simple. We almost lost like 3 times. I think I paused for a second there, but we almost lost like 3 times, man! The circumstances of the case were so incriminating I was stunned when I first heard them. In fact, I'm still finding it hard to believe that we managed to get a favorable verdict. Is something funny?
He's definitely behind it. No, my apologies. However, the fact is that you did receive the not guilty verdict you set out to achieve. And there can only be attributed to exceptional talent, wouldn't you agree?
I don't know about that, so I won't take it. Hello, Stirfire. Hope you're having a good day. Welcome to Scotland Yard's most intimidating person.
Well, never mind. You exceeded my expectations, I freely admit. That much is at least the undeniable truth. Which is precisely why I prepared the new case for you that I mentioned before.
What's going on? What was he gonna say before? Could you perhaps give us more details about the new case you mentioned? Don't tell me it's a murder and the trial starts in 10 minutes.
Don't worry, it's nothing so alarming or so quite urgent as your last assignment. In fact, this case is completely different.
Oh, I see. Did he just read my mind? A lot of people seem to do that.
That is to say, no one has died yet.
It goes, except our last guy is apparently dead. The last guy we defended apparently ended up dead.
The trial will not be today. There's plenty of time to research the case thoroughly. On your own. 23 hours, 43 minutes, and 19 seconds to be precise. Although by the time I finished saying that, it was 18 seconds.
Ah, so the trial's tomorrow then. Could've just said that.
Is everything alright?
Oh yeah, I'm just a little confused, that's all. Yesterday's trial was... well, it's left me wondering if I'm really cut out for being a lawyer. Oh, Mr. Naruhodo. I don't know if I could face standing in that courtroom again after Mr. McGill's trial.
Ah yes, I nearly forgot. There's one similarity with yesterday's case. Mr. McGill's there. Once again, there is currently no one to advocate for the defense.
Oh.
The situation remains unchanged. The trial will start tomorrow with the defendant unrepresented. It's almost like you're the only defense attorney in this entire game. And if that happens, I need not remind you of the inevitable outcome.
The most terrible end awaits the defendant.
Indeed. That's right.
Here we go again.
Your time is up. You'll have to excuse me or I'll kill you. I would advise you to begin making preparation for tomorrow's trial. After all, the clock is ever ticking. Okay, bye. There's now but 23 hours, 26 minutes, and 39 seconds until court sits. Although most of them are standing.
Last time you mentioned it was 23 hours, he said there was plenty of time.
And one more thing, Mr. Naruto. Something I should like to ask you.
What's that?
Yesterday you remarked upon something... that you intend to see through the will of your late compatriot, Mr. Asogi. Also, our best friend died. He died from being shoved into a bedpost. You know, I'm still not really over. Like, on one hand, I'm glad it was just an accident and the one who killed him wasn't, like, intending to kill him. But man, what a stupid way to die. It's like, I almost would have preferred that he actually was being assassinated, because at least then he probably wouldn't feel so bad about it in the other world. And yes, every time you press him, he's probably going to be like, you have 13 seconds. If you don't get through my text boxes in that time, you're going to get a mark off. Be interested to hear what exactly you mean by that. Inside 34 seconds.
Oh, well, Kazuma always used to say, you see, that he wanted to learn how the greatest justice system in the world works so he could change ours in Japan. Now he's gone, I'd like to work towards that myself. And, there's another thing.
Oh. Another thing? Continue.
On the way here on the steamship, he said something to me.
Something very important I have to do. Something very important? And what exactly would that be?
He, never had a chance to tell me. Suppose he would have done if he had made it.
You're out of time. Didn't even get to finish your sentence. Well, thank you for enlightening discussion.
Mr. Haruto, what's that all about? Mr. Asogi never once mentioned anything of the sort to me.
I urge you both to focus your attention on the matter at hand. Which is over here. Taking the liberty of summoning the police inspector in charge of the case. He'll be able to apprise you for the details.
How long has he been there?
In the past 5 seconds. So, I wish you the best of luck, and bid you farewell. Yeah, whatever Kazuma was up to definitely involves this guy.
Something very important that I have to do. Kazuma, what did you mean? I wish I knew, but honestly, you never told me. If only we could just phone someone. Better talk to the detective, don't you think? Yeah, you're right. I hope I'm just imagining it, but I wouldn't say he looks pleased to see us at all.
Does he have a... No, I can only examine him. Yep.
Could we trouble you?
What do you think?
Lovely weather, isn't it?
Are you kidding? What's the weather got to do with anything? Have you seen the birds? Listen to me, you Japanese upstart. So flippery about the weather doesn't get every English gent eaten out of your hand, you know.
But Sasao told me it was foolproof.
I'm a busy man, a very busy man. There's a crime scene to investigate, but I'm here having the likes of you to talk to and snacking on this here potato.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can you imagine what the other officers will be saying, hmm? Haven't seen Gregson anywhere, have you? No, he's too busy with the bigwigs these days. All because of that bumpkin who's here on a jump from a country I've never even heard of. Hear that ripping sound? That's my reputation in the yard going to tatters.
You'll need to rip us apart as well. I don't believe we've been introduced. This is Mr. Ryunosuke Naruto, a defense lawyer.
Eh?
It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. I'm Mr. Naruto's judicial assistant.
Eh?
It's lovely weather we're having today, isn't it?
Suddenly reasonably unseasonably fine, I grant you. London winters don't see a lot of sunshine.
How'd she pull that off?
So, Lord Strongheart's asked me to fill you in on the case. Name's Tobias Gregson, Inspector Gregson, to you. I'm from Scotland Yard. Gregson? Inspector Gregson, not Grayson? What's the matter with Sasato? Detective's name means something to her? Inspector, are you perhaps the Inspector Gregson? Hi! Acting like you know this man, Miss Sasato, but he's a London detective. Oh, I do know him very well, in fact. Very well? Oh, here we go. Yep. He features prominently in the adventures of Sherlock Sholmes. Oh, and that publication. What's it called again? Randed's Magazine? That's right. Inspector Gregson and Mr. Sholmes enjoy a wonderful, friendly rivalry. Really? You rival the great Mr. Sholmes? That's incredible. Oh, well, I don't know about that. Mr. Sholmes isn't a professional like myself, of course. But he does come up with goods from time to time. Mr. Sholmes is equally complimentary about you, Inspector, isn't he? You've earned his highest praise. Gregson is a pick of a bad lot in all of Scotland Yarders, were his own words. That's his highest praise? Well, considering what he said about you, yeah. Mr. Sholmes isn't particularly known for giving compliments, you see. That's he not. Thanks to that magazine, my name's known all over London town now. That's great, isn't it? I have to admit, to start with, I was a little, well, flattered by all the attention. Everyone wanted to shake my hand. My reputation at the yard went through the roof. That's wonderful. No, it's not. Nothing more sinister than the man on the street. People are always looking at me now. They're whispering rumors about me under the breath, I'm sure. Are you quite sure? He's changed as he started appearing in those stories. Fame's gone to his head. Stuff like that. Gosh, do you really think people are saying such mean-spirited things about you? Like I said, they whisper, so I can't catch exactly what they're saying. But I know what the folk are like. I'm sure that's what they're saying. I'm sure as eggs is eggs. Unless it's like, you know, a big old egg. Then that could be a dinosaur egg. Or, you know, an ostrich. Those things are as big as your head, those eggs. I get the feeling the detective could be a very hard work. Good thing we're gonna be one. Oh dear, perhaps a sudden rise to fame does change people. So, about the case Lord Chief Justice mentioned before. Nothing to tell, really. Hasn't happened yet, but it will in a second. I don't like the little dot on his elbow. With his arm bending like that. Like, they clearly just clipped his arm into itself instead of making a proper model. As far as we're concerned, the yard couldn't be simpler. That's what you said about the last one. That probably means, as far as we're concerned as lawyers, it couldn't be more complicated. I wish you were wrong about that, but I have a nasty feeling you're right. The young woman was walking along the pavement to the road when she was stabbed from behind. Fortunately, wasn't fatal, but she's still laid up in the hospital unconscious. Okay, good to know. It's not Sasato that got stabbed. That's despicable. What sort of coward would attack a poor woman from behind? I suppose you would have finished whoever it was off with a Sasato takedown, would you? That's neither here nor there, Mr. Naruhodo. Brace yourself, Ryusuke. You've angered her now. Anyway, so after something of a whirlwind investigation, the criminal was arrested. Barely had time for a cup of tea after the incident took place, to be honest. Must have been something left at the scene that you led directly to the culprit? Or perhaps a reliable witness who recognized the person in question? Let me stop you right there. You waste some time on this one. Sorry? Nothing you can do. There's no way to help the bloke now. Why not? Simple. Prosecutor has been assigned to the trial tomorrow. Is of course Lord Barak von Zeeks. No! Wait, we just fought him and got a non-guilty verdict. Sounds like you've heard of them. Oh yeah, we are very familiar with Lord Van Zeeks. Believed to be the harbinger of death itself.
The Reaper of the Bailey, because they couldn't get another prosecutor. Except for, you know, Mr. Ouchie, but he's in another country right now. Lord Barrick von Zeeks, who we faced in court only yesterday. Mr. McGilda told us about him before the trial, didn't he? When Van Zeek stands at the prosecution, they call the accused as sacrificial lambs. On every single trial which he's been prosecuted, the accused has been danged. I can't say the other word. Reaper of the Bailey nickname. Suppose he's earned that because every defendant he advocates against is found guilty, is that it? Well, that or they're found dead. That's the case, we should inform you, Inspector. Yesterday's trial against Lord Van Zeeks, Mr. Naruto secured a verdict of not guilty. What of it? Oh, well, I think... means even against the Reaper of the Bailey, it's not impossible to save the defendant. No, you really don't have a clue, do you? What do you mean? What happened to that bloke in the end, eh? He's dead? Magnus McGill came as a cropper in that omnibus when we went up in flames. So you can't really say you saved the defendant, can you? What are you saying? Look, Van Zeeks could get the dirt to stick on everyone. He'd be a miracle worker. That's not how it goes. He doesn't work miracles. He works magic. Black magic. The kind of magic that'd get you turned into a vampire. I have a good long think about that if I were you. Are we really supposed to believe that? You live in a world where ghosts can take over someone's body. So you best start believing in black magic stories, boyo. You're in one. I don't know why you gave me this accent, though. Right, well, filled you in the requested. I'm very nearly out of chips. I'll be heading back to the crime scene now. Still carrying out a few investigations there. It was the road you said, didn't you? That's where the incident took place. That's correct, Mim. If you head over to the holding cells, you can meet the criminal himself. Brandon him a criminal already? Well, yeah, that's what he is. As good as. Shaking like a leaf in his cell he is. Give you a chuckle if nothing else. He's inmate 53. Speak with the jailer and he'll show you the way. Inmate 53, thank you. I hope it's not Larry. Like, Nick, you gotta save me. I've come back in time and they accuse me of stabbing a girl. No helping anyone against the Reaper of the Bailey, they say. Something troubling you, Mr. Naruto? Tell the truth, when I recall the trial yesterday, can't stop myself from shaking. But we didn't model that in. The idea of facing the Reaper in court again is... well, if you think it's too much for you, no shame in turning the case down. That takes courage, too. But if the man they're arrested is innocent, you could well imagine he'd be shaking like a leaf in his cell. And I, for one, wouldn't have to find the sight of that funny. So, if I'm honest, I'm still reeling from the shock of yesterday's events myself. I'm not really sure if I'll be able to help this man, whoever he is. I'd like to try, so I think I'm gonna make some inquiries. Will you help? Did you really think you had to ask? I mean, it's either that or you throw me for not asking. After all, I'm your judicial assistant. Thank you. So then, shall we? Yes! Let's go! Should we go to the scene of the crime first, or should we go to prison first? Do I pass go? Do I collect 200 pounds? How much would 200 pounds be in Monopoly money? Yeah, I kind of agree. I think finding out who this is would help a lot. So these are the British prison cells. Oh, they're ghastly. Feels just like a dungeon. Yeah, and having experienced it in Japan myself, I can assure you that our wooden cells feel a lot cozier than these cold stone walls. Oh, don't, Miss Naruto, you're making it seem worse. Easier to set on fire, though. Apparently our client's in the cell here, but it's so dark at the back there, I can't make him out. Wonder what he's like. Inmate 53, your legal representative is here to see you. Stop hiding at the back of the cell and show your face at once. Am I a cat? Am I as a cat, yet with no name? Call me by a number. It's utterly unbelievable, unjustably unreasonable. I refuse to answer. Mr. Naruto, what? What do you think is going on here? I have no idea. But I wasn't just hearing things, was I? That tirade of complaints was in Japanese. Oh. Why does that raise up? Can't they just slide through that? Excuse me, but... Whew, quiet! They're all around, hiding. I know they are. They're watching, listening, even now. I can sense it. Right, so can I ask you who exactly... There you are! You've come to curse me, haven't you? Don't try to hide it, you're a ghost! The ghost? Where? The Fei family isn't in here. Mean you no harm, prisoners. Are you... Japanese by any chance? Hmm? This is... beyond my wildest dreams! Forgive me for that outburst for before. I'm so sorry. Oh, it's fine. We were just a little surprised, that's all. Jeez. He's got strong teeth. Imagine it! It's been 12 long months since I left my hometown, and here I am, in a frightful fix of a foreign land. Hearing the sweet, sentimental tones of a compatriot's voice here in this damp, dark heck hole was a most monumentally moving moment. He's very expressive, and I don't know if that's a good thing. Who could have guessed this new client Lord Strongar assigned to us would turn out to be a fellow Japanese, even though you can't tell because he looks like an Englishman. Ah, what a compassion my fellow countrymen show, to dispatch a first-class lawyer all the way from Japan to defend a mere foreign student. Noble, nurturing, never-failing Nippon. The first-class lawyer? Oh dear, I think there's been something of a misunderstanding here. I wonder, would you be so kind to tell us what happened? And who you are? Why you've been detained as a suspect, for example? Yes, I can, I will. Shan't stay sullen and silent. Not quite sure I understand what he means, but... seems happy. Yeah, he does. Just hope he actually has good reason to be. Thank you for your operation. I'm a lawyer, as you said. My name is Ryunosuke Naruhodo. And I am Naruhodo's judicial assistant. Susanoo Mikotoba. You'll never hear my name again. I am a visiting student sent here by our government. Notably, notoriously named Natsume. Soseki no Natsume. See, the bad part is, I don't know what their Japanese names are. What is Larry's Japanese name? So I can't really tell you if this is a reoccurring name or not. But I don't recall someone being so expressive with their movements. Uh-huh. Who are you? Soseki Natsume, what an unusual name.
Call me Susiku, please. I'm a poet, you see, a writer of haiku. It's something of a nom de plume.
A nom de plume? You mean an alias?
That's right, Naruhodo. No. Don't be so prosaic. It's much more refined than that.
In haiku, that really reminds me of home.
Did I hear you say you were a visiting student sent here over by the government? That's right. A year ago, I was told to go and study English. He's Masashi Yahari, huh? First I had to suffer that misery, now this, it's beyond pale.
Suffer that misery? Did you not want to study here?
No, I mean, I've had an interest in Great Britain for some years, of course. Oh. But, just because the government tells you to do something doesn't mean you can do it, no. What do you mean? They told me to study English literature, that I could understand. That's my field. But no, they told me to study the English language. Utterly, unbelievably, unjustably unreasonable.
But literature is the language.
I see. Only the other day I was told to send a report about my first year here. I tendered a blank piece of paper. Wise words on white, washi!
Must be a man of great standing.
Oh yes, look how great I am standing up. So I'm often told.
And often like to be told, it seems.
Could you perhaps tell us exactly why you've been arrested? I didn't do it! I didn't commit that atrocious murder. Murder? Oh no, it's alright. That woman didn't actually die, did she? But she was stabbed with a knife right before my eyes.
Before your eyes? You mean you saw the attacker?
Well, I didn't see anyone.
What?
I'd seen the person who did it. Do you think I'd be locked up in here? Probably. Seems this case is becoming rather complicated. Why me? Why me? Why that silly woman have to be stabbed in front of me? It's the curse of London. It's incredibly, inexcusably irritating and inconvenient.
Uh-huh. Soseki was at the scene, but he didn't see the attacker. Which means it must be a knife launcher.
That's vital that we find out more about the case. It was the accursed evening, just after snow had started to clear and heavy with fog. I'd been to the bookshop to buy some books that I couldn't read because I don't know how to speak English. And I was on my way back to the accursed lodgings.
Sure the bookshop wasn't accursed too?
I was walking along that accursed pavement. I could make out the accursed silhouette of another ahead of me. A woman wearing a green overcoat she was, and just as I went to overtake her, she suddenly let out a little scream and collapsed into the cold, hard, accursed slabs at my feet. How terrible. I called out to the woman, but she didn't move. It was like a ghostly, ghoulish, grim graveyard.
I think graveyards usually have more than one person. Slight exaggeration there, perhaps?
I was terrified. I had to get away from there. So I ran. I ran so far away.
That's not good.
They'll say it was shameful, I know, to run away like that. Tell me, Suseki, was the victim an acquaintance of yours? Don't be ridiculous! Do you know any of these fair-haired English, and a young woman at that? I'm defiant, shy, timid, unsure. I can't talk to people.
Yeah, we kinda got that so far. I see. A young woman unknown to Soseki. At the time it happened, who else did you see nearby? Did anyone pass you?
Regrettably, apart from myself and the woman, I didn't see a soul.
No one? Oh, great.
So the victim was unknown to you and there was nobody else on the street at the time. That creates something of a conundrum, doesn't it?
What conundrum? What do you mean, Susada? What's the conundrum? Well, if what Soseki just told us is true, there's something I can't explain. Says he didn't know the victim, and that there was no one else at the scene, then apparently he fled without having been seen. I did! But if that's the case, surely this man has to be the culprit. Ah, you! What did you just say? Nothing. I didn't say anything. I was thinking it. Do I always think out loud? Perhaps I thought that a little loudly. Actually, that's not what was troubling me. What I was thinking was, how did Soseki actually come to be arrested? Sorry? He didn't touch the victim, and there was nobody at the scene to see him. So how did the police ever discover he was there in the first place? Oh yeah, she's right. It was him. That accursed great detective. He led the police to me. Of all the bad luck. Accursed great detective? Could it be... I shall never forget that man's name as long as I live. With his hearty laugh and his self-proclaimed greatness. Brash, big-headed busybody, begone! May you be cursed to the end of your days, Herlock Sholmes! I knew it. Mr. Sholmes? Yeah, well... I didn't expect to hear that name for this man's lips, that's for sure. Oh, it was the morning after the nightmare had unfolded in the pavement before me. I was gnawing a sliver of hard cheese when some men suddenly burst through the door. They started shouting at me, "This is the police, put the weapon down!" Yes, it was thin sliver, and yes, it was hard, but I wasn't eating a weapon. Disgusting dietary discrimination, devils. You clearly had a trying morning yesterday. Did they let you finish the cheese? No! It's sitting in my house still. And there he was in the middle of all the policemen, grinning like a Cheshire cat. That Herlock Sholmes. It's actually just Herlock Sholmes. I don't really know how to pronounce it differently. He's English. Really? I've since found out that he's a famous man. A famous name in detection here in London. Ah. Seems to be the theme of this game, is like they base all the characters off of people that were, you know, alive in this time. Except for us. We don't count. Yes, the great detective is really well known, and his overly sharp mind managed to deduce my whereabouts, apparently. Thinks I'm the knife-wielding madman. Me, this weak, stooped kitten of a man. Wonder what great deduction process led him to this conclusion this time. You mean to say... Mr. Sholmes' deduction was the only reason the police arrested you? That would be really most unreasonable. But... Sasato, you thought I was the murderer because Sholmes found me in the wardrobe. That was only his deduction. Oh, well, yes, the thing is, I was thrown into a panic when they barged their way in. Of course you were, that's only natural. I was terrified and trembling, and they kept throwing question after question at me. In impossible English. Fiendish foreign flim-flammery. Well, we are in England. You can't really blame them for questioning you in English. Good point, but my mind went blank. I knew I had to answer, but I didn't know what to say. So I just kept repeating things like, yes, I do, and I'm fine. Next thing I knew, I was in manacles. Before I knew it, I was thrown in here. Oh dear, I'm afraid that's hardly surprising. I'm fine? He's not fine now. This isn't just ice. He can't say he's fine. Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. Oh, you can just call me Naruhodo. Or Ryu. And when we're speaking English, simple mister is more than enough. Oh yes, alright. Yes, they've really got me. This country's poisoning my mind. But please, I beg you to defend me in court tomorrow. You can tell them what really happened. You'll do it, won't you? Well, Why? Why is it so hard to say yes to me? Well, the thing is, I'm just a student like yourself, on a study tour. A student? I had to defend a case in the Old Bailey. Only the one, though. And they died. So... At this moment in time, I really don't know what I am supposed to believe in. I'm confused about what justice in this country even means. Oh, Naruhodo. Not even the foreign student who's supposed to be here. I'm a sort of Lukum lawyer, I suppose. But that armband's the mark of a defense lawyer from our great empire. It's a keepsake for a man who should have been here. He was my best friend. A keepsake? You shouldn't wear a keepsake, although you are wearing a sword. I know exactly what they're saying about me. Oh, what do you mean? The lawyers, all the British defense lawyers, they won't defend me. Goodness, why do you say that? For the same reason you noted before, what had happened. There was only the victim and myself around, and I ran away from the scene of the crime. I'm not a fool. I know it looks as though I must be the culprit. Must be very hard for you, Sasuke. Well, and anyway, I'm a student from overseas. I'm just a foreign nobody to them, someone not to be trusted. Heard them openly laughing about me before, in my earshot, without compunction at all. Any trial for this man would be a waste of time, they said. And of course I'm a foreigner did it. They even had the gall to say the man doesn't understand half of what's being said anyway. That's awful. They're wrong. I've studied more English than half of the policemen out there on the streets. I've traveled halfway around the world to learn about these people's country and its great history. But no one here wants to listen to a man with a strange accent. They all hate me. Although really Brilly's accents all sound the same. So at the very least, I'd like to entrust my fate to someone who can listen to me in my native tongue. You could do it, couldn't you? When I look into your eyes, I can see it. I can see what you've been through. The hardships, the wardrobe compartment, the death of your best friend. Sorry for bringing it up. Saseki, it's just the... Give me a little time, please. I'll do what I can for the time being. What do you mean? We shall investigate the case as thoroughly as possible. If we can find some clues, it will give us a much better chance, I'm sure. Oh, yes, thank you. I'll be here, all alone. Waiting for you, locum student Mr. Naruhodo, Esquire. We should be going then, Naruhodo. Have a case to prepare for. To the road, at the scene of the crime. Why is that bike bent? That's already upsetting. Oh, look at the snowman! Oh, I don't like that sign. Not the Daily News, but the William Robbins sign. Just turn those words around. So this is where it happened. Ah, look, Mr. Naruhodo. Policeman! Look at that regulation metal helmet. It's unmistakable. The men of Scotland Yard are here. They're investigating as we speak. That is their job, you know. Yeah, but we never see them do it. To see them with my own eyes. They're often depicting the adventures of Herlock Sholmes, but I never dreamt I'd come this close. To a real Bobby's helmet. You know that's what the bailiffs wear, right? We walked right by them. What? The helmet? Of course. I have to try one on one day. I hope your Hattie dreams come true. They won't. What's the Japanese delegation doing here? Oh, Inspector Gregson. Is one of the tourist trial. Fairly sure you're well aware. This is on the tourist trail, not trial. Yes, of course. We're here to investigate. So you've been to the holding cells then. What'd you make of the criminal? He's not a criminal, as you put it, Inspector. He's a suspect. We'll see about that. You Japanese like to stick together, I suppose. Well, do what you will. Doesn't bother me. Bloke's in our court tomorrow, whatever happens. The verdict's a foregone conclusion. Stone cold air of rejection. The big issue with a lot of these is like they're just instantly stuck on the idea that, oh, they must be guilty, they were caught. Never mind that Sholmes is a chump. Take heart, London's at this time of year is full of stone cold air. That makes it worse somehow. And also stop reading my brain! What's the point of having thought bubbles if everyone reads them? Tell me about Scotland Yard, Inspector.
Not much to say.
Ever since I read about the adventures of Sherlock Sholmes, I've been fascinated by the police.
I swear, I'm never gonna be able to say Sherlock Holmes again. It's always gonna be Sholmes. You know? The Yard is, most sophisticated police and organization you'll find anywhere in the world, ma'am.
Oh, and you know, I've always dreamt of wearing a real Bobby's helmet. Could I steal one? It does make them look their part, seeing that policeman there with his helmet on. I certainly get the sense that this is a man who will take no nonsense in the duty of protecting the city. Oh yes, doesn't he look wonderful?
Well, thank you. Being a London Bobby is hard going, I can tell you. Maybe I should give him a different voice. If he's the detective. Well, I guess Sholmes is more the detective, but this guy's the real detective. Sorry, trying to get something out of my throat. It's been bugging me for a bit. First thing in the morning, you know what he does? Goes around and rouses all the laborers on his beat so they can get off to work.
What? He wakes people up.
Yep, raps on the windows with a long pole. Did it myself going back a bit.
I had no idea.
The Bobby works with the people of the town. Just another one of his duties. So he wakes them up. After that, he starts tirelessly patrolling the streets all day long.
Is there a difference between their helmets and their normal helmets that I can't see?
He has to cover 20 miles a day. That's the regulation distance.
Can't really imagine how far that is, but it sounds like a long way. Let me see. 20 miles, that's approximately the distance from Tokyo to Yokoyama. On foot? That's definitely taking things a step too far. 20 steps too far.
Then when it gets dark, of course, he has the important job of lighting all the gas street lamps.
Oh my. And I suppose between all those duties, Bobbies are expected to investigate cases as well? And chase after criminals trying to evade the law.
Not sure you could call it in between exactly. More alongside, but yeah. They're expected to handle those jobs as well. You have been kneeling over from time to time, I admit. Well, you know, when they're all bobbing for new jobs, that makes them a bobby. A fish. They're always fishing for new jobs to do.
I always dreamt of wearing one of those helmets, as I said. But it's with a heavy heart. I shall have to relinquish that dream to you, Mr. Naruto. What? Why me? Your heavy heart will be my heavy head if you do.
Happened around 5 in the evening 2 days ago. Here's the autopsy report. It'll probably be amended by the time you get to the courtroom. Just there, on that open bit of pavement. Victim, a young woman, was stabbed with a blade from behind.
You're right, the lady's still unconscious now? You mentioned she's being treated in the hospital.
Never said she was a lady. Truth is, unless she comes around pretty smartish, we won't be able to find out much about her at all.
Suppose that means they haven't been able to take a statement from her, of course. Also, what does he mean that she's not a lady?
Here's a map of the local area I happen to have on me. You can have it if you want.
Really, you sure? The odd policy to give the lawyers, defendants, suspects the odd bit of information to go on. I haven't actually accepted the job yet, but still. Like, you know we will. Thank you, Inspector. We gratefully accept. Anyway, as far as we know, there was no one else on the scene other than the victim and your fellow countrymen. Who did it, you think? Not much of a head scratcher, is it? Probably someone else? Ooh, I wonder if it'll be the same knife. Like Mr. McGill's knife. I didn't really pay attention to it when the picture was shown. Well, I know Mr. Natsumi is also claiming to have not seen anyone else around, but just because he didn't see anyone doesn't mean we can be sure no one else was present. I'm sorry I have to tell you, but we most certainly can be sure. How? Because, ma'am, precise moment of the stabbing didn't go unnoticed. What? That's a contradiction in itself. If it didn't go unnoticed, that means someone else was around. Have two very reliable witnesses, no less. Well, for sure, one of them is the actual criminal. Typical foggy London day, and your client obviously didn't see him. There were witnesses now? Who are these witnesses, Inspector? Fellow and his wife, and the man's one of the most reliable and respected citizens of all London. You know, like Mr. McGill, the guy who stabbed a guy. He's a copper from Scotland Yard. It's me! A policeman? That might change things. And the policeman just happened to be there at the exact moment the woman was attacked? How convenient. Nothing peculiar about that, ma'am. Part of the parcel being a bobby. Catching them banging the act and all that. But no one was shot. Think it might be possible for us to ask the policeman a few questions? Hello, Mimikyu. Hope you're having a good day. And no, this is Gregson from Scotland Yard. He's not from that country. Be my guest. You could ask him what you like in court tomorrow. Oh. No doubt it'll be someone as a witness. I'll give you something to look forward to. That's that then. He's got no intention of letting us meet the man beforehand, even though the prosecution can do that. But whatever. Policeman witnessed the incident. As your judicial assistant, I must warn you this could make our job very difficult indeed. Yeah, as a non-judicial assistant, I could have warned me of that too. Oh yeah, one more thing, Inspector. What? Person who led you to the suspect. Heard that was Mr. Herlock Sholmes. What are you bringing him up for? Was it something I said? The collar drained from his cheeks. Who did you hear that name from? Oh, well, it's Mr. Natsume who mentioned it. Then Mr. Sholmes was with the police when they entered his lodgings. Sure, it was the result of Mr. Sholmes' great deductions, even though we first-hand experienced them being wrong. Apparently Mr. McGill was in the flaming omnibus. You know, the guy we defended yesterday with the top hat and the rings? He was inspecting the inside when it caught on fire. Yep, we still don't know the story behind that. Mr. Strongheart told us not to worry about it. Battle! The man's an amateur. I'm getting sick and tired of him showing his mug everywhere. I don't know where he gets his information from, but he turns up at the scene of the crime, wanders around spouting incomprehensible rubbish, and before you know it, claims to have solved the case. Yeah, he's quite astounding, isn't he? He is a great help to Scotland Yard, though, isn't he? Gabble gabble. Never seen this before? Oh yeah, that's the Rand's magazine. We literally just talked to you about it. The wonderful publication which the Adventures of Herlock Sholmes appears. Yeah, well, that wonderful publication, as you put it, fits to include several of the Yard's detectives in its stories. So-called great detective makes a mockery of all of us. Ask anyone at the Yard, it's a misadventure to be included in the Herlock Sholmes tale at all. Well, I suppose there's an element of that. We work our socks off every day, every one of us, only to be fronted by a public thanks to the obnoxious detective. The man's as dangerous to us at Scotland Yard as he is to our criminals. Can't really be true, can it, Inspector? It's like 90% true. Clearly, the great detective and police have a complex relationship. That twitchy Japanese bloke goes on trial tomorrow. You defended him or not? Well, makes no difference to me, but I'll just say this. No London lawyer worth his soul would touch that case with a barge pole. Because the prosecution being handled by the Reaper of the Bailey, you mean? Yeah, no way to save the man now. It's wasted time trying. I mean... That's not entirely incorrect, I guess, because they might die either way. That's apparently why they call him the Reaper. You know, the vampire guy. It's because every time he... Even if you win against him, apparently the defendant dies. But, you know, he has no ties to it, and apparently Scotland Yard can't just, you know, put two and two together and arrest him for it. And Sholmes has no interest. Well, he might. He's probably gonna show up in court, and Von Zeeks is gonna yell at him. It's all a bit strange, though. Sorry? The Reaper, he hasn't appeared in court once for a good few years now. Yes, we did hear something to that effect. And the only people he usually bothers with are the real scum, the master criminals, the violent ones. Master criminals? The violent ones? That's right, he had handpicks his victims, only deals with those guaranteed to go to the gallows for their sins. But Mr. Natsume wouldn't hang for what he's accused of, surely? That's just my point, Sunshine. Yeah, the one woman was stabbed, but it didn't kill her. Couldn't even say the intent was there. So this isn't the sort of case I'd be expecting the Reaper to want to sink his teeth into, for want of a better phrase. Though he is a vampire. Yeah, it's not exactly a minor infraction, is it? Nah, he'll be hanged. Now there gotta be more to it. Some reason he's taken an interest. Really? What sort of reason, Inspector? Think I can tell what's going on inside the head of that Lord of Darkness? Darkness? You had to ask him yourself at tomorrow's trial. We're gonna have to face the Reaper again. Lord of Darkness, as he put it. Well, I don't think we're gonna get any more useful information out of the detective. Better start ignoring him. Mr. Naruto, can I make a suggestion? Oh yeah, what is it? Well, it seems to me that we must speak with him about this. By him do you mean Mr. Sholmes? Yes, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, exactly. Look at those shining eyes. You can't wait, can you? Well, Mr. Natsume did blame Mr. Sholmes for all this, didn't he? Yes, he did. He really did. Which makes him an involved party in the case. Are you just gonna ignore that? I hope not. I assure you, it's not simply my selfish desire to meet Mr. Sholmes again. Trouble is, I have no idea of the man's address even. So how? It's Baker Street. How do you know that? It's in the stories, of course. 221 Baker Street, the most famous address in the world. Oh, I see. Well, nothing to stop us from going, I suppose. Better try to find our way there before Sasato gets any more excited and unpredictable. Hurrah! I'll summon the carriage. We have a reunion already with the great detective, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. Nothing here we want to examine first, though? Like, I want to examine this bike. What happened here? A British bicycle, look. Oh, the wheel's so misshapen, I'm sure it couldn't possibly be ridden anymore. Someone must have been doing some breakneck cycling. Seems bicycles have become extremely popular in London recently. Even the movement to change the women's dress to allow them to ride as well. The bicycle fad won't last. I don't see anyone to ride something like this. Goodness, do you dislike bicycles? No, not at all. I mean, it's not that I dislike them exactly. Any occupation that involves taking both your feet off the firm ground seems reckless. You ever tried walking on stilts and fallen into a river? I know you'd agree with me. Why would you have done that? I'll have to hire a bicycle sometime. You could sit behind me while I ride you around. She would, wouldn't she? What a delightful snowman. Didn't realize the English had a tradition of making snowmen as well. Looks a little creepy though. Oh, it has a scarf, look. You'd need one if you were out in this freezing cold all the time. Wish I had one. Afraid our budget's somewhat frozen at the moment too. Certainly can't afford a scarf. Weren't we paid for yesterday? Surely the snowman here wouldn't miss his. But the person who made the snowman certainly would. Yeah, I know, you're right. Anyway, stop reading my brain. Even if I borrowed it, it wouldn't do much to warm my neck, wouldn't it? It's covered in snow. Alright, here we go. New location's been added. They stayed at a hotel, so currently they have no place to stay. It also costs £3 for both of their rooms. Oh hey, we get a cutscene. A somewhat poorly drawn cutscene, but we'll just ignore that. Pawnbrokers.
Thank you very much. It's just
Thank you
there,
very
look
much.
in the street. Good day.
Good day.
Thanks again. This is it. The residence of Mr. Herlock Sholmes.
Yes, I'm sure this won't end in tragedy. That pinwheel's gonna be important to the case. Sholmes Suite. Holmes Suite Sholmes. This is where the great detective makes his living. Feels surreal to be here somehow. The opium addiction. Do I want to know what that means? Is it as described in the stories, Miss Sasato? Sasato? Many famous cases have been solved here in this very room. Oh, I suppose they must have been, yeah. Never read the stories, so it's hard to get quite as excited about it as she seems to be. Detective chases the villain relentlessly as he disappears in the fog down to in an unlit London street. Oh, the thrill of it, the romanticism. Can't you feel your heart thumping in your chest? Can't you, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, I don't really have one of those. My heart stopped when my best friend died. So if you don't mind, I'll just stand here and soak up the atmosphere for a while longer. Did he not lock his door? Please don't mind me. Yes, Herlock Sholmes is a completely different person from Sherlock Holmes. Don't even worry about it. Well, looks like our detective friend isn't home at present. Excuse me, is anyone home? Oh, do we have a visitor? Yep, I figured she'd be here. Hello! Is it a big new case for Mr. Sholmes? Hello. Wait, aren't you... Oh, how rude of me! I'll go and make some tea at once. Sure, it's the same girl. Miss Sato, did you see the girl who was just here? Oh yes, isn't it truly extraordinary? To think that the king of Bohemia Rhapsody came to this very room to ask Mr. Sholmes to take on his case. The king of Boawaria? King Wilhelm Gottschritt Sigmund von Ornstein, of course. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank. Forget the adventures of Herlock Sholmes for a moment. Look over there. The tea is brewed, and I have freshly baked cake as well. It's you. I knew it. Susato recognizes her too. As if anyone could not. Realized I must have clicked the thing because I didn't see the bar moving. Whoops. It's a pleasure to meet you both. I'm Iris Wilson. The IRS. But with another I in it. I live together here with Hurley. Ah, Iris, is it? Well, what a lovely name. What's the matter? No, wait, it can't be. Did you say that your name is Wilson? What's the matter with Susato? Why is she flustered all of a sudden? Yes, that's right. What are your names? Oh, I'm Ryunosuke Naruto, lawyer from Japan. Oh, sorry. I'm Naruto's judicial assistant, Susato Mikotoba. It's wonderful to meet you. Lovely, Susie and Runo. Got it. Runo? Susie? Those aren't names. Susie? Runo? More to this girl than meets the eye. So many questions for her, I don't know where to start. Yes, and so do I. Again, what is the point of Ryu having thought bubbles if everyone just reads his mind? Like, really? Hang on, first thing. Iris, can I show you this? Oh, how exciting! What is it? Tell me all about it. Oh, actually, I was hoping you might be able to tell me something about it, if anything comes to mind. Why would it? Well, no, I suppose it wouldn't. No one ever reacts to the badge. Hasn't gone according to plan. It was you we ran into yesterday, wasn't it? At the Old Bailey. Yeah, that's right. You were ever so helpful. Thank you so much. Oh no, not at all. Sorry we couldn't be more welcoming. Though at the time, we did have a rather large gun pointed at us. Like this? Ugh. Thinking back now, you left with Miss Lestrade in tow, didn't you? Oh yeah, that awkward witness, Gina Lestrade. Oh, Guinea? Yeah. She's a professional pickpocket. So we found out. Very naughty of her to pinch my invention like that. You referring to that trial-disrupting gun-like contraption? Exactly. So I followed her, you see, to get it back. Perhaps I should think about fitting a self-destruct mechanism to my inventions. Girl's dangerous. Well, anyway, I brought Guinea back here after that. And got a world record. So she could apologize to my trusty technician. Sorry, your technician? Hurley, of course, silly. Hurley? Yes, Herlock Sholmes. We live here together. I had no idea the great detective had such an interesting young daughter. Daughter? Not likely. What? I wouldn't call him Hurley if he was my father, would I? I mean, maybe? Well then, what is your relationship with Mr. Sholmes? Well, I expect you found out that the lodgings of any kind in London are very expensive. So the solution is to share the cost with a partner, a roommate. Your roommates? Hope you don't mind me asking, Iris, but how old are you? 10 at this last year. Well, what of your mother and father? They exploded. Oh no, they're not around. Oh, I see. Wonder what the story is there. Well, see, I designed them to be robots, and then they exploded. So maybe a self-destruction button isn't worth the cost. Oh yeah, there's something I must ask you. Uh-huh. Of course, go ahead, Susie. Don't call me that. Very great fan of the Adventures of Herlock Sholmes and... Oh, you have a copy of Rand's magazine! Yes, I read every issue. It's no issue to read every issue. Delivered all the way to Japan on ship. Oh, this is so exciting. My stories are being read on the other side of the world. My stories? That's right. Hurley's solving such amazing cases, you see, and he tells me all about them. The vampire killed her parents. No. Or what if the vampire is her parent? They're really quite fascinating. It'd be such a shame if there was the only one who ever heard them, don't you think? Last night he was telling me all about the new case he just solved on a steamship traveling from a faraway land. I was just in the middle of typing up the manuscript of the next issue before you came. So you are the author? Uh-huh. I'll let you on a secret if you like. I'm gonna call this latest adventure The Speckled Band. The Speckled Band? Certainly very familiar. Of course, I always change one or two details in the stories, here and there. This time I had the idea of making the venomous snake be the cause of all the trouble. Oh, that was Mr. Sholmes' first thought as well, actually. Yes, and of course I know the snake might not be a credible fit for the facts of the case exactly, but... it's a story. Some poetic licenses are justified to make it more thrilling, I think, don't you? I don't usually think. Everyone seems to just hear my thoughts anyways. So you mean to say... stories about Mr. Sholmes that are published in Rand's magazine... all written by me? Yes, on my wonderful and very modern typewriter. But all the stories I've ever read are written by a doctor of medicine, Dr. John H. Wilson. So I was getting more and more worked up. Ah, yeah, that's me. I mean, my name's really Wilson. What about the doctor of medicine part? Yeah, Cosmo's gonna be a victim in her book. I'm sure his sword is so excited to hear that. That's all true too. I am a doctor of medicine. No, at 10 years old? At 10 years old? Well, it's quite incredible. But, Dr. Wilson is an English gentleman. Ah, yeah, well, I did alter the setting slightly, for the stories to be more compelling. Well, it sounds a little strange, doesn't it? I mean, who would read a story about someone called Sherlock Holmes? A great detective with a 10-year-old girl in tow? I suppose it does, yeah. It sounds pretty weird. Poor Susato, she looks like her whole world just falling apart. About before. Yes, what's on your mind, Runo? Is it the Martians? The Runo Martians? How did you know? That I was a lawyer and we just arrived in London, I mean. Well, you're clearly Japanese, you have an armband on your arm that says lawyer. And I don't know about the trial part, but... And that we have a difficult trial tomorrow, how'd you know all that? Oh, that's what you mean. Tell us how you did it, explain every detail. Of course, I'd be delighted. Although, really no mystery. Now let's begin. Those are giant eyes. Iris Wilson's proud to present her Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. Oh no. First of all, I knew already that you were a lawyer, Runo. After all, I met you yesterday at the Old Bailey in the defense antechamber. But you also said we only just arrived in London. How'd you know that? I observed a passport ticket protruding from your breast pocket. And also, Sholmes told me, as it's already been proven that he told me the story about the speckled band. Oh. Reasonably confident you must have only just arrived in the country. And on top of that, you accepted a case against that particular prosecutor, telling me you were unaware of London's court affairs. Yeah, the Reaper of the Bailey. Walked right into that one, didn't I? And then I noticed a red ink stamp on the back of Susie's hand. You were given that when you visited the local prison to meet with the suspect, weren't you? Earlier today. I don't think that was told to us, but sure. They use those stamps to keep a close eye on comings and goings, you see. I didn't realize. And a red stamp is only used for people visiting foreign inmates. So, that told me that even though you had only yesterday concluded the trial of Magnus McGilded, two of you had already had a cause to visit a foreign inmate at the local prison. However, neither of you was wearing a particularly sad expression on your face. I concluded the prisoner was unlikely to be a friend or relative. That led me to believe that you must have accepted a new case. I see. But how could you have known the trial's tomorrow? Well, having barely been home a few hours yesterday, Hurley solved yet another case. It obviously amused him. Told he caught a Japanese man who was bawling and trembling. A Japanese man? Clearly that must have been... Mr. Natsume. Now, Runo has that fancy Japanese sword. And I think your outfit is called a kimono, isn't it, Susie? Well, anyway, it was clear to me that you both come from Japan yourselves. So I put two and two together, even though that was more like 5 things, and decided you must be defending the Japanese man Hurley caught. Only one conclusion those facts can lead me to. You both came here to ask Hurley about the case. Another note on the mantelpiece says the man's trial to be tomorrow. Hurley's always stabbing his notes with a knife, you know. He is silly. Well, that summarizes him pretty well. And that's all there was to it, really. Thank you for listening. I'm Iris Wilson, that was one of my great deductions. Well, was it a winner? Were my deductions correct? They were spot on. That was amazing, Iris. Truly a great deduction. And like twice as good as, Sholmes. Even managed to discern something of Mr. Sholmes' delivery. Oh, well, I was just copying Hurley's style for that. This is all really good news. You could tell us all about the case involving the Japanese man. You will, won't you, Iris? Please? Nope. So yesterday, Mr. Sholmes apprehended a Japanese man, you were saying? Uh-huh. Hurley just arrived back in London after his sea voyage. But the police were waiting for him at the railway station to take him directly to the crime scene. Which is why you didn't see him in the cutscene. Ah, great detective's a popular man, it seems. Apparently a woman was stabbed on a quiet street somewhere in town. There were witnesses who had seen a short, shifty-looking, stooped man running away from the scene. A short, shifty-looking, stooped man? Well, it's Mr. Natsume, beyond any doubt. That describes him pretty well. Soseki said he didn't see anyone else in the street at all. Seems there were witnesses after all. Hurley used his great deductive powers to determine the man's address. It was a lodging room very nearby. He went directly there with the police, and what did they find? A short, shifty-looking, stooped man, shivering in fear. Mr. Sholmes' great deduction certainly hit the mark that time. Of course it did, he's a great detective. Still, that means the incident occurred only 2 days ago. Surely tomorrow is far too soon for the trial, isn't it? Definitely, we have no time to investigate properly. Hurley says that London is rife with crime. Scotland Yard's doing its best, but they can't stay on top of it, apparently. Oh dear, I hadn't realized the situation was so dire. That's why they can't afford to spend too much time investigating cases and trying the criminals in court. So they just kill everybody. You know, that's what justice is all about. You can't have any criminals if everyone hangs. Staff and money are both short. Crimes are usually pinned on the first suspicious person. That's terrible. I suppose it's the harsh reality of the workings of the world's greatest justice system. I suppose it is, but in that case, I don't have much hope for Soseki. Thank you for answering so many of our questions, Iris. It's been very informative. Oh, you're most welcome. I've had so much fun. You happen to know where Mr. Sholmes is at the moment? As you guessed, we'd like to ask him some questions about this case as well. Ah, well, I expect Hurley's still investigating the scene. For the case involving Mr. Natsume, you mean? Yeah, Mr. Natsume? Hurley said he's going to the man's lodgings. If you leave now, you probably catch him there. Iris, do you know where those lodgings are? Well, I imagine the police are still investigating the scene of the crime themselves, aren't they? Did you happen to come across a detective by the name of Gregson while you were there? Yeah, we know Inspector Gregson. He hates our guts. Ah, goody. In that case... give Gregsy this from me, will you? If you do that, I'm sure he'll tell you what you want to know. What is this? A 5-shilling piece and a postcard, it seems. It reads, "Tell the gentleman in black whatever he wants to know. I trust that won't be a problem." Gosh, this'll make the inspector help us, will it? Well, thank you, Iris. We'll give it a try. Will that really, just take care of that? Good luck, then. I'm gonna return to writing my manuscript, The Speckled Band, making a more special blends of tea, so come back again soon. We'd be delighted. Thank you so much, Iris. Well, Mr. Naruto, it's back to the scene of the crime. Though it's somewhat dubious that they would exert any influence over the men of Scotland Yard at all, we headed back to the scene with Iris's curious note and one of the world's heaviest silver coins in hand. Are we bribing the detective? Is that what's happening here? Investigation Part 2. It's already been over an hour and a half, and we're not even at the court. They have not moved an inch. Looks as though the police are still here, carrying on with their investigation. Perfect, so let's find Inspector Gregson as quickly as possible. Yeah, let's see if he'll take a break from his chips to look at the silver tip Iris gave us for him. Hey, how's it going? He's just here. You don't even have to look for him. Wait. Did the thing disappear? Oh, it just disappeared because he's on screen. That's silly. They didn't want to just draw him over that scene? That's weird, because when we were talking to him earlier, I could have sworn those things were there. Weird. This is a 5-shilling piece, isn't it? I believe it's called a crown. Yeah, and you can train Scotland Yard detective to do whatever you want with just a single one. Iris must be the most powerful 10-year-old in the world. How much is 5 shillings, by the way? What's it really worth? Well, it's probably enough to buy all the chips the inspector could possibly eat in a whole month. That's greasy. Inspector Gregson, do you have a moment? Sorry to say I don't. Very busy man, eating my chips. Much too busy to talk a pair of foreign gagabouts, that's for sure. We have these for you. A present from Miss Iris Wilson. What? From me? From her ladyship? Her ladyship? Give that here at once. Come on, hand it over. That's from me. Ah, don't wait for me to give it to you, will you? What was that coin exactly? The silver crown, obviously. It's a lot more than that. It's, well, an appearance fee. That's what it is. An appearance fee? Oh, I see. You mean... That's right, for the adventures of Sherlock Sholmes. Her ladyship always offers me a little financial reward for featuring me, every time. Yes, of course, I know all about your exploits, Inspector. I read them avidly. That's very nice of her to include them in her stories and then pay them for it. They might hate being in part of the adventures and how they're twisted, but they probably love being paid for it. So, just gonna say, if you guys ever write a story featuring me, I will expect royalties. If you ever write a Blob fanfiction, I will expect a silver crown in the mail every week. Of course, they're using my name without my say-so does make me the butt of a lot of unpleasant jokes, but still. Sorry, Inspector, it must be difficult for you. Never you mind that. So, what do you want to know then? Tell the gentleman in black whatever he wants to know. Trust that won't be a problem, it says. Obviously, it's not a problem. Go on, fire away. What do you want to know? Well, if you wouldn't mind, Inspector, we'd very much like to know the address of Mr. Natsume's lodgings. Oh, is that it? That little knife-wielding, mustached Japanese fellow. Lives right over the old hovel. Just over there, look. First floor of the house on the corner where the wreck of the bicycle's propped up. That's nearby indeed. If I remember rightly, landlord's Mr. John Garadib. Make a whole Blue Mage game? I don't see that happening, but good luck. Also, just saying, it's very simple, but here's a quick thing real quick. There's actually a game builder garage on the Switch itself. I only have the demo and I haven't actually played it, but it exists. You can build a game on the Switch. You can't, you know, sell it, but it teaches you how to make a game. Being features a cameo in the D&D Adventure module, I will still expect royalties for my cameo. Or at the very least, a hat. Right, well, if you see her again, make sure you give her ladyship my regards, you hear? I mean it, you tell her the Gregson sends his very best wishes. Don't worry, Inspector, we will. Goodbye for now, then, and long live her ladyship. Is she gonna be the new queen? Well, at least he told us what we wanted to know before he left. Yeah, so then, shall we go and see what we can find in Mr. Natsume's lodgings? Yep, they gave you the tools to create the game, so that means that they own the game. Blizzard all over again. Why does he have a cannon? And an apron? His lodgings are a mess. Oh, he also has a maid. He never mentioned having a maid. May I help you? Yeah, this be the residence of Mr. John Garadib? Indeed it would be, sir. Whom I say is calling. My name's Ryusuke Naruto. Why is this closet by the window? I couldn't say. Mr. Naruto is representing Mr. Soseki Natsume. I believe he takes lodgings here? Ah! We would very much like to ask him some questions about our client. Ah! One moment, please. I shall convey the message to Mr. Garadeb. Where's it Garadeb? Did you see that, Mrs. Sato? That was a real-life English maid. I know. As I understand it, anyone of standing in the English society employs a number of household staff. But so do Japanese people. That's whatever. First time I've seen one in the flesh. Oh, this day keeps getting better. Certainly feels like we've really arrived now, doesn't it? You'd only meet a butler and the experience will be complete. We met a waiter. If we meet a butler, it's just gonna be Hosonaga again. I'm not sure if I go that far, but I understand the sentiment. Thank you for waiting. Mr. Garadeb will see you now, this way. Oh. Wait. What do you mean this way? We didn't move. Is Sholmes here? Oh, it's a broken thing here. Investigate thoroughly, but can't find anything out of place. What do you mean? It's a broken thing right there. Look at this crockery on display here. It's rather unusual, isn't it? Oh my, a genuine London dresser. Isn't it delightful? Although the shelves seem to be broken and the crockery is... Oh dear! It's in pieces! It really is. The word cracked wouldn't do that chinaware justice. Ah, I wonder. Perhaps the cannon was fired at it. Yeah, probably something like that, but let's not delve too deeply here. If the cannon was fired at it, it would have gone through the wall. What was that? Look at that enormous screen. It must have been put up there deliberately, surely. Yeah, it certainly seems like someone's trying to hide something from view. What could be behind it, I wonder? Probably Sholmes. I'm gonna have a very quick look, just a little peek. Ahem, ahem. Maybe let's not, Mrs. Sato. I think the maid's gonna heat us off with a cup of tea. Ahem, ahem. Amazing question. Couldn't tell you. Looks like a Medal of Honor. It's showcased on a very grand banner. Yeah, it's displayed with some pride, I would say, although it bothers me that it's not straight.
What? That old thing?
Sorry?
I should be glad to see at the back of it, but the general would turn his grave if I disposed of it. The walls are the best place for it. Keeps the bally thing out of my way.
Though it's just been polished to shine by accident, I suppose. Appears to be an inscription on the medal itself. Look. Let me see. It says, for distinguished participation. Sounds like the kind of honors even I could be in line for.
Well, one doesn't blow one's own trumpet, but I was given that from my time in the army. Can't measure an officer by the number of medals in his name, of course. Common knowledge in the military circles. Don't stir your tea with that. Like, do you want to get sick? Good luck with whatever you're doing, Sir Vire. Don't explode. Or get stabbed. That's a full-size cannon. What's it doing here? Oh my, it's real. I thought it might be a replica. That old thing? Bah, it's a little more than a toy. Army was selling it off when I retired, so I had to give it a new home. Never know when the enemy might attack next. It's only useful to have a cannon at the house. Really? Isn't it overkill? Be prepared, I always say. You never know when this twisted world's gonna throw at you next, boy. Do you think there may be trouble brewing, Mr. Garib? Garib? Always is. Take Joan here. Never fails to have a clean apron in reserve. Dries them over the barrel, you see. They dry very well in the cannon there, Joan tells me. Rather proves my point, I feel. Been reduced to a drying rack. No wonder the huge can looks like it's just hanging head in shame. Uniform's fairly ancient, doesn't it? It's clearly been well looked after, though. That old thing? Bah, not much better than rags, really. No? Wore the ceremonial garb of my retirement bash, you know. I'm not one for dwelling in the past, me. Would gladly have thrown it out, but you know how it is. Anyway, it doesn't hurt to have an old piece of memorial lying around, does it? Oh, I see. Perhaps we should leave the past in the past. This guy seems to take pride in the fact that he was in the army, but it seems like he didn't actually do anything. Good day to you, John Garrideb, at your service. Pleased to meet you, sir. This is Ryunosuke Naruto. He's a defense lawyer. Do excuse me for not getting up. I don't have another bottle. Took a shot to the knee a few years back. Yes, I used to be a lawyer like you before I took that shot to the knee. The Battle of Maiwan, don't you know? Earned a medal for my pains, but I had to withdraw from the service, handed over the reins to an up-and-comings. So he's a retired soldier. Heck of a job getting up and down the stairs now, I can tell you. Don't get out much, as you can imagine. Yeah, it's quite a climb up to the second floor, isn't it? I was panting at the top of the stairs. Couldn't you get the bullet removed? Did he get the bullet removed? You really must take more exercise, Mr. Naruto. Do you think so? I mean, I carry this giant sword around all the time. Along with the weight of the pain of losing my best friend. Really builds up your muscles to have sorrow. Well, Mr. Garrideb, no doubt you were very courageous to earn yourself a medal. Nope. Oh, it was nothing. Medal's just a folder roll, really. Wouldn't like to defend the general, though, so I grudgingly displayed it on the wall. Why don't you fetch it down, Joan? Let these good people see it properly. Joan, fetch the... Dag! Dash it all, woman, be careful. Oh, dearie me. Beg your pardon, sir. Oh, you jolly nearly took the skin off my hands. Shall be more careful, sir. So anyway, there you have it. Living the quiet life now. He is a moon. Does that make her the sun? Because she's got that puffy head. Well, the thing on her head is very puffy, at least. I don't like how flat her necktie looks, though. Shouldn't that also be a little puffy? Now then, here you want to know about the chap lodging downstairs. Is that right? Yes, we'd be very grateful if you could answer some questions for us. Only too pleased, naturally, especially if it helps keep the peace here in Blighty. Forged an alliance with the Empire of Japan recently, as I'm sure you're aware. The case is very much in the public eye, as it were. Oh, is it? You had some famous detective poking around, you know. This old house, would you believe? Yes, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. Could have been. Didn't catch the chap's name. Not really my cup of tea, all that detective business. Oh, but you have a copy of the Rand's magazine here, so... Anyway. Oh, anyway, chap's investigating the foreigner's room as we speak. So he's in Soseki's room, huh? Valley nuisance is what it is. Whole neighborhood's twitching its curtains now. Don't like all this fuss. Jolly unsettling.
About Mr. Natsumi, Mr. Garrett, please do tell us.
Ah yes, Japanese chap. Only been lodging here for about a week.
Oh, just 1 week? So you moved in very recently then?
I have 2 lodgers most of the time. One on the ground floor and one just below us. First floor had become available a week ago, you see. There'd been... Dog! Darn it all, Joan. I haven't even taken a sip from this stuff. Why do you keep pouring more?
Oh my goodness, I'm terribly sorry, sir. I feel like she might be interrupting him on purpose. Like, no, you're saying too much. You wanna know my opinion? Thought he was a shady sort from the moment I set eyes on him. Oh, why? Seemed to have a most nervous disposition, always shaking and looking over his shoulder. Man had shady written across his sweat-soaked brow, if you ask me. Said to myself, Joan, that man's trouble. Sooner or later he's gonna do something untoward. And I'm rarely wrong about anything. I'll be calling this May as a witness, that's for sure. Anything else that struck you as suspicious about the man at all? Oh yes, yes indeed there was. And she's dying to tell us. Oh my word, yes, the man was shadier than an orchid. Orchard? Could you elaborate? Well, then take the man's room absolutely stuffed full of books as it is. More than anyone could ever read. Like a library. I guess she hasn't been to the Lord Chief Justice's room. Never so much as passes the time of day with another living soul. Haven't seen a single visitor call. He just trots off to that old bookshop every single day and comes back 5 to light the gas fire. Funny little man's up long past the time everyone else in the house has gone to bed, too. Oh, I see. Gentleman on the ground floor goes to bed around 9 each night. But I've never known a Japanese fellow to retire any earlier than 2 in the morning. I can't relate. Could you clarify something, I wonder? What, pray? How do you know so much about Mr. Natsumi's routine? Oh! I understood that neither of the lodgers live on this floor of the house, is that correct?
Oh, that's right. They're both below us, on the first floor and street level.
Then how is it you know so much about the lives of your lodgers? Precise times they come back is in the evening, for example. Even the times they go to bed.
Good grief, Joan. Be careful, woman.
Oh my goodness, sir. I'm terribly sorry, sir. Something doesn't add up here.
But they're not gonna answer the question? Okay.
Seems the incident took place around 5 in the evening. You happen to look out the window at that time?
Huh? The window?
Yeah, we noticed the window over there looks out over the road. The incident took place on the pavement just on the far side of the street. Was there anyone suspicious loitering nearby?
5 o'clock is dinner time in the Garadev household. Even though it's not really a household. Afraid I don't remember seeing anything. How about you, Joan? Joanne?
No, sir. It would have been dusk outside already at that hour. With the fog as well, I should think it would have been quite impossible to see the other side of the road. Oh, I see. Did you notice anything else out of the ordinary then?
Such as?
Anything at all, even if it seems unrelated.
Well...
Yeah, was there something then?
Well, nothing particularly significant, but around the sort of time in here, the dog! For the love of God, watch what you're doing.
Oh, dearie me, what have I done? I'm awfully sorry, sir.
Do be more careful, woman.
If I may, Mr. Naruholo. Yeah. Really good memory, and as far as I remember, nothing of any significance took place here at that hour. Nothing at all. Well, she's the murderer. Oh, really? Mr. Garadeb? Well, you were talking before. It sounded rather like there might have been.
Oh, well, as I was saying, it was just a trifling matter, really. Nothing of... Dog! What's the matter with you?
Begging your pardon, sir. Nothing happened.
Ugh. Yeah, quite. Nothing happened. Sat down for a quiet, uneventful meal. Joanne?
That's right. Meow, that's right. Mr. Garadab? What is the matter with these two? Sounds like something happened here in this room on the evening of the incident. But what? I wish I knew. Tell us which floor Mr. Natsume's room is on.
Why, certainly. Just below us on the first floor.
Mr. Sholmes is investigating there, even as we speak?
Ah, yes. Told me Nat's his name and asked him to look into the matter, so I gave him the key.
Mr. Natsume is engaged in Mr. Sholmes' services? That's a blatant lie. You're right if we also had a look around? In Mr. Natsume's room, I mean.
Why would I care? Don't see why not. Just down one flight of stairs.
Who knows if we'll find anything that helps with the case, but we have to try. Need all the clues we can get our hands on, shall we? While we're here... we can speak with Mr. Sholmes again! Everyone's dream! Perhaps he'll be able to tell us more. This window looks right over the road where the young woman was attacked. Oh yeah, I can make out the policeman from the far side of the road investigating the crime scene. The glass is rather murky, isn't it? You can't see very clearly. This thing open at all, I wonder? Shouldn't underestimate the bitterness of London winter, sir. Sorry? As soon as you open that window, the tea will freeze in the pot. No Londoner would go opening windows dusk in the middle of winter, I assure you. I feel like that might be a benefit since you keep burning your friend. Or client, whatever he is. It's very unlikely these two have seen anything in the incident then. Oh, you know, we haven't actually looked at this map, have we? Because the incident happened here. We're about here. Also, if the incident happened here, there's an alleyway right here that goes over here to the Calabash Road. Like, obviously someone else could have done it. Ugh. Stupid Scotland Yard. Fortunate Mick Garadeb's glaring at me, I swear. Notice that all the little frames contain a photograph of Prince of Mr. Garadeb as well? Yeah, and there seems to be a statue of a lion on the mantelpiece as well.
Ah, yes. Seemed to come back from the local pawnbroker with that little trinket.
Seemed to come back? What do you mean?
Chap who runs the place is a bally wizard. Went in to sell him something, he came out with that thing. Point of fact, now I think about it, I rather often find myself leaving the place with something I don't need.
The lion ornament certainly does seem a surplus to requirements. The salad doesn't pull her punches, or her throws for that matter. Notice you have a pile of books here, Mr. Garadeb. Do you enjoy reading?
Ever experienced a London winter, my boy? Nice and long. No better way to pass the time in front of the fire with a jolly good book.
Oh, there's a copy of Rand's magazine here, I see. No doubt Mr. Garadeb enjoys the adventures of Herlock Sholmes, too. Great detective has a great many followers, it would seem. Well, there's the book. I don't know how we found it before having that conversation, but sure. He has a cat? How come they can animate this cat, but they couldn't animate, the Russian girl's cat? Darka or whatever. What? Just look at this place. And smell it. So musty in here. Suppose it's the mountains of old books that are responsible for that. I don't think I've ever seen so many books in all my life. We were literally just in a room that had 1 billion books. Nah, me neither. So dark in here, too. Is that the window over there? Well, it was the window, I think. Yeah, once upon a time. For some reason, it's been closed up with bricks and mortar. Like the brick maker did. So this is where Mr. Natsumi lives. By the way, haven't spotted Mr. Sholmes anywhere, have you? He's probably in the cat. He's disguised himself as a cat. According to Mr. What Garadeb told us, Great Detective should be around here somewhere investigating. Oh look, it's a beckoning cat from home. Bit big and bulky, isn't it? Surely Mr. Natsumi didn't bring that manic yiggy whatever all the way from Japan with him. How do you think you're in position to comment, Mr. Naruto? Are you forgetting the enormous Daruma doll that you brought with your luggage? Well, it can't be dangerous traveling abroad. I wanted a lucky charm. Imagine Mr. Natsumi wanted the same. This cat is sure to beckon good luck to him. Not doing a very good job so far, is it? You mustn't say such thing. I didn't say a thing! Why are my eyes such giveaway? Is that the issue? His eyes give away his inner thoughts? Meow. Hello, cat. And there it goes. Oh my, what an adorable little cat. Perhaps he's looking after the books while his master's away. I don't know about that. He disappeared into that pile of books as quick as a flash. I mean, it was not really as quick as the flash. It was more of a slow, steady waddle. It was a tricolor Mickey, wasn't it? Do they even have that sort of cat here in Great Britain? Perhaps Mr. Natsumi brought the little creature with him from Japan. That's made me feel homesick now. Already? We've only been in the country for 2 days. Yeah, but feels like we've been here for weeks. What do you mean nothing out of place? There's a huge bag! Dang it. Look at all those books stacked up there. Almost reached the ceiling. All works of English literature. They all smell so musty. With this volume of books in hand, you'd never be short of reading material, would you? No, what a dreamy idea. A bad dream, maybe. For me, at least. Mind you, I don't imagine the books that's at the bottom of the pile now will ever be read again. Ah, so reading is an experience that comes but once in a lifetime, just as a tea ceremony teaches us. Certainly didn't expect the conversation to turn to the path of tea ceremony philosophy. This seems to be wedged in a crevasse between the mountains of books on either side. Suppose Mr. Natsumi would sit here and read while stroking his cat. We're surrounded by all sides of these towering old tomes. Surely he dreamt of books every night as well. Yeah, he must have been done. He must have done, mustn't he? Oh, what's this? It's a receipt from a secondhand bookshop. Your books. Oh yeah, Mr. Natsumi's name's on it. Look, and the day of the purchase. 2 days ago, 4:45 p.m. That's the day of the incident. Just a short while before he was embroiled in the terrible attack. Must have been on his way back from buying some old books. Alright, we finally got a new clue. Time to examine it, because it probably has something written on the back. Oh. Monsieur Lecoy, a meal for Gabarel and Canterbury Yearnings. 2 shillings for 3 books. Hey Sholmes, how's it going? Anyway, back to investigating. Do you even call this a window? I think so. It was a window at one time, after all. Although there remains a frame around some bricks now. Really, it's just a wall then, isn't it? Why would anyone deliberately break it up like that? Afraid I have no idea. Ah! Perhaps Mr. Natsumi painted the bricks by design, the fit of whimsy. That's alarmingly feasible. Anyway, whatever the reason, lack of ventilation here makes this place very oppressive. It does. I imagine being cooped up in a room like this would be extremely trying. Anything else I can investigate to ignore this man? No. Look, Mr. Naruto. Aha, there he is. Where did he appear from? Seems to be engrossed in the pages of an old book. Hope he won't mind if we disturb him. Hello, Mr. Sholmes. Hmm? Ah, you two. Good day. Now let me see. Where was it that we met? Oh, Mr. Sholmes, we were together on the SS Burya. Of course, the Burya. And let me see, what happened on that voyage? Miss Kazuma Asogi died tragically, but you were a great help to us. Not really. Ah, yes, but of course, the case of Mr. Asogi. It was the one with the snake, wasn't it? Oh, well, you seem to remember something of it, at least. What an honor to be remembered vaguely by the great Herlock Sholmes. This is Mr. Oh no, my dear madam, hold your tongue. I pride myself on superior powers of recollection. Your names are safely recorded within my brain attic. Miss Naruhodo and Mr. Sasato. Try the other way around, Mr. Sholmes. I lose the first round. In truth, I had hoped to invite you both to my Baker Street suite the day we arrived in London, but some Scotland Yarders ambushed me at the railway station and whisked me away to a crime scene. He is almost correct. The best kind of not being correct. It was an entirely trivial case, of course. I solved it in a matter of no more than 30 minutes. Now, they apprehended Saseki in that short amount of time? The pursuance of a new case has dulled my recollection of past involvements a little. A little? It is a mistake to think that one's brain attic has elastic walls and can distend to any extent. I do my best to forget useless facts, lest they should elbow out of the useful ones. Yes, those are my own words of inimitable wisdom, you know. Then the adventures entitled A Study in Scarlet. Please, there's no need to quote yourself. Yes, who would ever quote themselves? I don't know what she's doing over there, but it's not my business. It's not hitting me, it's not my business. I don't even remember what the context of that quote is. Also, the slash has disappeared again. Ugh. Well, someone can discern what that date is. I don't always remember my pearls of wisdom, but fortunately my associate pins them beautifully. He means Iris, I suppose. Mr. Sholmes, I have extremely important questions to ask you about the trivial case you just mentioned. Goodness, what an earnest expression. My dear madam, I should only be too pleased, and this murky room is the apt place to discuss this murky case. It was to be the lodging of a Japanese foreign student by the name of Suseki Natsume. Sure, let's go with that. Yeah, let's go with that. It's definitely January the 112th. Seems you assisted in his arrest, Mr. Sholmes, for the stabbing of a young woman outside here on the road. Natsume. Yeah, I believe that was a name rather along those lines. But Mr. Natsume denies it. Was it really justifiable to arrest him on so little? I'm sorry, Miss Sasato, but I have not the slightest idea what you mean. What? Can't believe he was looking at Sasato squarely in the eye while feigning ignorance. I assure you, I'm not merely feigning ignorance, or reading your mind.
It would appear the pair of you are under some misapprehension.
Oh, how?
I assure you I have no recollection of accusing your astute compatriot of the crime.
That doesn't make sense.
Good detective of Scotland Yard made the following request of me, and I quote verbatim. Need you to ascertain the identity and whereabouts of a man seen fleeing a crime scene.
Ah, man seen fleeing.
There were a number of books scattered on the pavement of the scene. From the book plates, I was quickly able to determine the bookshop in which they had been purchased. And on speaking with the proprietor, I was immediately led to this address. Elementary, wouldn't you say? I believe there's a receipt around here or somewhere with the establishment in question.
So you don't think Mr. Matsumi is the culprit then?
I didn't say that. That I could not tell you, but it was aggravating my faculties, hence why I returned here. However, this place is such a trove of fascinating books, I found myself lost in bibliography. Do not be deceived into believing I am a man of leisure. No, no, no.
Oh dear.
Ah, tell me. Have you encountered the landlord of these lodgings?
Yeah, Mr. Garadeb, a retired military man. First time I've ever met a soldier from the Great British Intuition since, that is, the services. First time I've ever met a maid from the Great British Intuition, that is, service.
Ha! Good joke.
I didn't think it was that funny.
I do apologize. As you may be aware, that many households in London employ a maid.
Yes, I read as much from my Great Britain primer.
And so, conversely, whether or not a household employs a maid has come to betoken a social standing of those dwelling therein.
Token of social standing? Sorry? What?
Put simply, my dear fellow, those who employ at least a single maid are considered middle class, those who do not are beneath that. In the upper echelons of society, of course, the households employ enough staff to constitute a large family.
Goodness, how extraordinary.
As you can appreciate, for those on the precarious boundary between middle and lower classes, being able to afford just one maid is of the first importance.
I had no idea. Also, do you have a maid?
It's for precisely that reason that I find great stimulation in the situation upstairs, specifically the retired Army veteran, Mr. John Garadeb.
Then I'm sorry, Mimikyu, but you are still lower class. You don't want a maid? What are you? A citizen? A common person? Ugh.
Affable as it is, the fellow is hiding something. Whether or not it imposes on the circumstances of the case, I'm yet able to ascertain.
I'm thoroughly lost on what he means to say.
This room is thoroughly suffocating for the soul, my dear fellow. I assure you any man whose lot dwell in this place such as this will stab somebody sooner or later.
Mr. Natsume has stabbed no one.
Potentially. Ah, but sooner or later, as I said.
I don't believe that's the issue here. At this dark little room, Mr. Sholmes. Why is there no longer a window? Do you have any idea?
No window?
Well, I mean, I can clearly see there is a window, of sorts. But it's been completely blocked with bricks.
Ah, I see. The answer to that question is quite simple. Window tax.
Window tax? What is that?
Surely not a tax on windows. Is it like window shopping? Precisely that.
Oh my goodness.
Until relatively recently, a tax was levied on households in this country by the number of their windows. Why? I assume that really happened, but why? Note to self. Put bricks over window to avoid window tax. I don't use my window anyways. It has been covered up for 50 years. Those of lesser means, having inherited a sizable and costly family home perhaps, rapidly close windows up. While the rich open their windows here, there, and everywhere, in an effort to curry favor with those in power by furnishing them with large sums of tax money.
How awful and unjust, forcing people to live in rooms devoid of light.
Indeed, disease was rife as a result. Some 40 years ago, or thereabouts, the winter tax was abolished. But its legacy remains, as you can see, in squash lodgings such as these, for example.
I suppose Mr. Natsume's stipend for living here in London isn't very generous, perhaps.
It would appear so. I've done a little digging, and discovered that these lodgings were offered at an extraordinarily low price.
Because the room is awful, I should think. Apparently Mr. Natsume only moved here about 1 week ago.
Yes, that's correct. However, I don't believe the low rent is explained by the shabby nature of the accommodation.
Oh?
Still, that is of little relevance here. A matter of not worthy of further attention.
You sure? I'm curious now.
Well, I believe I told you all I can now.
Thank you, Mr. Sholmes.
Ah yes, Mr. Naruhodo, was it not your intention to become a practitioner of law?
You remember that part, did you? But not my name? Rude.
Will you perhaps be offering your services in this very matter, I wonder? To the occupant of this room, Mr. Natsume, was it?
I'm not sure.
Not sure? On what grounds?
Well, I actually defended someone in court here only yesterday.
Really? Well then, I congratulate you, sir, on an ambition realized. And so promptly, too.
The thing is, really made me question things. Am I right to believe in my clients? To trust in their innocence?
Yes, trust.
Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Natsume didn't do it, did he?
My dear fellow, I haven't the first idea.
Oh, but I thought that's why you were here. Didn't you come back to investigate?
Ah, yes. That was indeed my initial intention. But there's simply too many fascinating books here. I couldn't possibly ignore them.
Oh, I see.
Nevertheless, there are two facts that I can state quite unequivocally. The man who fled the scene of the crime 2 days ago was the Japanese occupant of this room, and there are witnesses who swear having seen the same man commit the crime. That is all I can say. Ah, and one more thing. One more thing. Detectives must defeat detectives.
Oh, what is it, Mr. Sholmes? Tell us.
Well, I would if you would stop interrupting me. I cannot say with any certainty whether or not it is relative to the case, but I'm quite sure that the retired army man who owns this property is hiding something.
Mr. Garrett is. Mr. Sholmes said as much before, actually, didn't he?
Anyway, at present, that's really all that plays on my mind in relation to this case.
Mr. Naruto? That's me. As yet, our investigation have uncovered nothing that could help establish Mr. Natsume's innocence. No, you're right. That's the time we probe a little deeper into Mr. Garrett secret. His secret. A secret so secretive that it's secretly secreting. A secretive secret. With Ryan's secrets.
Just remember, I cannot be sure whether the landlord's secret would prove to be of relevance or not. But I wish you every success, of course, Mr. Naruhodo.
Busy man indeed. He's gone back to his book in the corner of the room.
Where'd the cat go, though? Oh, there he goes. What is that?
This appears to be some sort of meter on the wall here. Looks very robust. Wonder what it's for. There's a slot for inserting coins here, too. I believe that's a gas meter, Mr. Naruto. Gas meter? There's piped gas in this district, which consumers pay for by putting coins in the meter. If we were to put a coin in the slot, that would be enough gas to use the lights and the gas fire the whole night. If you're too poor to have a coin, you have to spend the night here in the dark and freezing cold? That's right. As would a rich man who only carried Chris White notes. Ugh, London's a scary place. Alright, so what do you guys guess is his secret? If I had to guess from what we know so far, I would say it's fairly likely that his maid is not actually his maid. And they're gone. Nope, they're there.
Ah, you pair again. Tell me, was the detective chap, I forget his name, hard to work down there?
Mr. Herlock Sholmes?
Ah yes, rings a vague bell. All that detective business isn't really my thing, I'm afraid.
Well, Mr. Sholmes is in his element down there.
Jolly good show. Another cup of tea, if you please, Joanne. If you burn me, you're fired. Now then, why don't you tell me what...
Like, she does this too often.
For the umpteenth time, woman, will you watch what you're bally doing?
Be serving dinner shortly, sir.
Yeah, of course, whatever. Frightfully rude of me, but I'm afraid I shall have to ask you to take your leave, if you'd be so kind.
Oh yeah, of course. That is super rude of you. Deeply grateful for all your assistance.
Not at all, not at all. Don't get much chance to talk with the young foreigners like yourselves. Been a pleasure. Best of luck and all that. Perhaps you could see yourselves out.
According to Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Garrett is hiding something. Since other avenues of investigation seem to open us at the moment, perhaps we should do some digging. See, like, if someone did that to me, I'd just be like, I'm just gonna look anyways. Like, now clearly you're hiding something. Hey look, there's Mr. Sholmes. What a wonderful collection of cakes lined up on that glimmering silver stand. Lined up, looking like someone's half demolished them to me. Afternoon tea is a time of indulgence, you know. It's quite an English way. Mr. Garrett's custom to make 2 cakes with his tea. Sounds delightful! Oh, wait a minute, though. There are at least 10 cakes on this cake stand. Well, naturally, would never do to waste the leftovers. Whenever Mr. Garrett doesn't eat, I say to myself, Joanne, you have to tighten up. How magnanimous of you. How did you get up here? Ah, what's he doing over there? Mr. Sholmes? Aha, we meet again, my dear fellows.
Good gracious, when did you sneak in here?
Herlock Sholmes, sir, at your service. What are you doing over there by the window? I'm given to watching the evening sky as the sun sets, madam. Yet sadly cheerful as the room downstairs undoubtedly is, it lacks a proper aperture for such observation. So I took the liberty of borrowing a small corner of space by the window up here.
Well,
keeping an eye on one's window at dusk is the prudent thing to do in London, I'm gathering. Ah, and one other thing, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, me? Thought that perhaps you might be in need of a certain great detective's great mind. Wait, he's not talking about... Is he? I didn't expect to be going through that again so soon. Do you mean, Mr. Sholmes? There is a mighty secret in this modest room. My eyes see even the most trivial of trifles. I take it you're prepared, Mr. Naruhodo? And this time you won't be cuffed. Although I do have those if you want them back. Just time enough for one of my greatly admired great deductions, and let us conclude with the matter before dark. Here we go. Mr. Garradeb, though it would seem you are a military man of considerably distinguished service, your standing in the landlord is most certainly not what one might call first-rate.
huh?
I'm afraid, sir, that's all too clear to me. There are 2 conclusions that I've been able to draw by careful observation of your living arrangements.
I beg your pardon?
The first is that even as we speak, you are concealing the presence of a ferocious beast in your care.
Huh?
And the second, that as a result of the beast's violent rampage, you have lost something very dear to you. Mr. Naruto, look. Old man's broken out into a cold sweat. Unbelievably, these seems Mr. Sholmes' conclusions are both spot on.
How could you possibly...
How could I possibly know, you mean to inquire? The answer couldn't be simpler, sir. For in the dense jungle of logic and reasoning, I am the king of beasts. So maybe the cat is his and it rampaged across the room? And I know only too well that wild beasts are not so easily tamed. So, shall we begin? Once again, Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. Here we go. The nature of the beast. Certainly shouldn't take a great detective to see that a fearsome beast has been on a rampage of late within these four walls. Thus we're faced with the question, what form might this beast take? Ah, for a man with military breeding, your eyes are uncommonly candid. Your furtive glance, Mr. Garrett, leads us directly to the answer. The true nature of the beast is run rampant here was revealed by that lion statue. Yes, although an army man, you appear unimposing at best. Fact has fueled your admiration of the mighty lion, the king of beasts. What is this trifle, I ask you? In the end, your admiration becomes so great, in fact, you have a living, breathing specimen shipped from India, which you try to keep in this very house. What? Ow, my face. Yet living with such a wild beast proved more difficult than you had imagined. The chilling traces of a wild rampage are still very much in evidence. Yet as we look around, the beast in question fails to present itself. Where could this angry creature have disappeared to? Madam? Me? I pray you not consider me unchivalrous, but it's plain to me with one glance in your direction. It is? Your dress pocket has a handsome clue to the beast's current whereabouts. For protruding from it is a handbill advertising a circus show. Yes, you sought to dispose of this terrifying lion, Mr. Garrett, at Batty's Circus. A traveling show currently sojourning in a nearby park. I've observed the tents. You sold the savage lion, sir, to the circus troupe. I most certainly did not. I believe I made my point. That everything I say is wrong. The fearsome beast which ran amok in this room was an Indian lion. And a simple visit to the circus now will reveal the lion prancing jubilantly through the ring of fire. Topic 2. Aftermath. Now, Mr. Garrett, it's plainly clear that you still have a deep feelings for this formidable beast. Indeed, that blithe blow, the distress this loss has caused you is tangible. Your head weighs heavy on your shoulders as it's the size of the moon. The pain you feel is revealed by that supporting arm. Amid the fit of tears, you let your beloved beast go. The strain of losing something so dear to you is clearly visible in your visage. Nonsense, man. I simply, you know. But what we must now ask ourselves is the true cause of this pain. Indeed, we only need to follow the direction of your gaze to find the answer. Yes, it's the pile of bills that have given rise to the pain you suffer. Every envelope contains another demand for payment. Ah. Cartloads of meat, potatoes, wheat, and tea. Indeed, feeding your beloved has had a devastating impact on the financial circumstances of your household. And so you had no choice but to let it go. Now, in a final fit of rage, the ferocious beast carried out one last unimaginable attack. Unimaginable? Oh, it's a burn mark from a candle. I couldn't tell what it was from the 2D angle. So it started a fire, I guess. The aftermath of which can be clearly seen by observing the carpet over there. Very expensive woolen carpet, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, dearie me. What could have caused such a destructive outburst? Ah. This time, madam, I'm afraid it's you who has been inevitably revealed the truth to me.
Your wandering eye has settled upon the answer very neatly indeed. Yes, to explain the dire state of the carpet, we'd only look at this tower of cakes. No creature more dangerous in the earth than a beast with an unsatiated appetite. Was it or was it not once by certain noblewomen, if they have no bread, let them eat cake? Food is the heart of all tragedy, in fact. I don't know about that one, but whatever do you mean? Having tired of the taste of cake, the beast began to stalk its next prey. I'm sure I need not spell out the nature of this final act of destruction carried out by the beast. Only one logical conclusion. Worked into a frenzy by hunger, the lion attacked and ate the carpet. Teeth marks on the carpet are a perfect match with those of a lion I once saw in India. Uh-huh. Thus concludes Herlock Sholm's great deduction of this beastly puzzle. None of that was right. Well, like, 2 things were right. Arg! What is the matter with you, Juan? Pouring scalding hot tea all over me, for the 50th time. I admit I didn't notice. My deductions can be startling sharp. Stands to reason that your cup runneth over. Indeed, my revelation can make people spill tears at times, too. Oh. Mr. Sholmes, sorry to butt in again, but can I make an observation? Why, certainly, Mr. Naruto. What is it, again? Your deduction just now, do you really think a lion could fit inside the room this size? Indeed, it's the only explanation for the facts. The terrifying truth often lies just beyond the realms of common sense. Wouldn't the idea consider what lies inside the realms of common sense as well? But if an uncaged lion had run amok in this very room, surely Mr. Garradeb and the maid would have been hurt, or worse. Ah, that's where you're stuck. No doubt the former military man held his own against the beast using that large cannon. I thought you said they sold the lion to the circus. And what about the food? Meat and potatoes are one thing. But I don't believe I've ever heard of a lion that drinks tea, or eats cake. Ah, my dear Miss Sasato, it occurs to me with some regularity that irrespective of race and breeding, whenever anyone lands in Great British soil, they're infused with a highly appropriate taste for afternoon tea. Yes, even the lions drink tea in Great Britain. Keep that in mind if you ever visit London. You will undoubtedly be forced to drink tea. Well then, Mr. Naruhodo, it's your turn to shine again. I had a feeling that was coming. Slight massage, it's all Mr. Sholmes' deductions need. You can do it. Excellent. I've been waiting for my trusty partner in deduction to step forward, Mr. Naruhodo. I don't even know yet whether or not this is going to help with Mr. Natsume's case. Still, uncovering the truth's always worthwhile, whatever the motivation. At least, that's what I want to believe. Let us start again. From the beginning. Of Herlock Sholmes' logic and reasoning spectacular. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. I wonder if this one will pause me at the questionable parts too. It's also weird that she gets spooked by the thing. By the spotlight shining down on them. It's like, is it really there? Your eyes are uncommonly candid. Leads us directly to the answer. True nature of the beast that has run rampant here is revealed by the lion statue. Really didn't see the lion thing coming. No, but if you observe Mr. Garradeb's reaction, it rather seems as though some beast did indeed run amok here in this room. Yeah, something with a very fierce nature, but it couldn't have been a lion transported from India. So what was it then? Must follow Mr. Garradeb's gaze. That'll lead us to a true answer.
What is this photograph? It doesn't make me laugh. Here's me from Mr. Gyarados' wedding. Looks very happy, doesn't he? He does, but you can't make out his bride. No, how unfortunate. Something must have struck the glass directly over the woman's face. Also, she has a paw. Or something there. Wonder what happened. Probably best not to delve too deeply here. No amount of cracks could hide the woman's plump form. I think powerful would be kinder than plump, Mr. Naruto. Yeah, it certainly looks like that. A lot of horsepower there. Not something someone you'd want to upset, that's for sure. Oh look, have you noticed her wedding ring? Very large, isn't it? Yeah, it's unusual design. Looks like some sort of embellished sunflower. Must have when Mr. Gyarados was still in the army. Needs to be carrying a rather stout bride effortlessly, the beaming smile at the same time. Even though he couldn't, you know, walk. One second. Weird. Seem to have lost my phone. Oh well, I don't really need it, but... I could have sworn it was right in front of me a second ago. Oh well. Hard to imagine now, he's as thin as a rake. So, is it... Is it just that? Like... Mortar shells... Can I look behind the thing? No. But yeah, he does look at the lion statue, but it's gotta be this.
Take that!
Nope. Almost deliberately hidden from view is a photograph. Every time I do, it makes me laugh. Well. That deduction was wanting in every way. Yes, I was wanting you to hear it. I'm proud of it. I find myself wanting to never have heard it. I'm quite pained by it, in fact. Oh, sorry. I'll try again. Honestly, that was worth taking the hit. What do we know with some certainty is that a destructive creature has been working in this room. Look at the direction of something that gives its identity away. Investigate thoroughly enough, we ought to find the answer. Well, the only thing else I can investigate is the mortar shell. These are shells for the cannon, are they? What a strange place to keep them. But they have some significance to Mr. Gyarados from his time in the army. Of course, he mentioned the battle to us before. Do you remember? He said that he'd been shot in the knee. Perhaps it was one of these that hit him. Around that side that hit his knee, there'd be nothing left of it. Or Mr. Gyarados, for that matter. That's customary to print and display well rubbish on the mantelpiece. Is there another picture? Or do I have to, like, investigate the picture? And, like, present that, but... Or maybe the lion itself is hiding something? Perhaps if you did live with the lion, it would prove to be a rather sweet companion. I think that's like a mouse trying to tell its family that the cat around the house is sweet. I suppose it is a bit of a flight of fancy, isn't it? Anyway, the beast we're looking for is something else. Let's have a good look around. Can we look under the... No, I can't go down. Well, the photograph is the only thing I can... So I had to present the inside of the frame, not the frame itself. Okay, fine, whatever. By that newlywed bride. Precisely, Mr. Naruto. No other explanation could possibly fit. I mean, a lion? That would be ridiculous. Yes, it's this frame print that pictures your wife, Mr. Garradeb. And while we lament the fact that her face is obscured, though we could just remove it from the frame, still make out her mighty arms and note considerable horsepower they must contain. That's rude, but... Indeed, surely any woman of such powerful constitution would be honored by to be described as a beast. Honored might be a stretching the point. Too late! The fact remains that the beast, which so clearly savaged this room, was your wife, Mr. Garradeb. The chilling traces of a wild rampage are still very much in evidence. Yet as we look around, the beast in question fails to present itself. Where could this angry creature have disappeared to? Madam? Me? Pray you not consider me unchivalrous, but it's plain to me with one glance in your direction. It is? Your dress pocket gives us handsome clues the current beast's whereabouts. That'd be your hand. Poor fragile defenseless woman is beside herself. I don't know about fragile. Oh dear. Anyway, Mr. Shulman was quite right. There's no sign of a Mrs. Garradeb anywhere. Even there may be clues or whereabouts. Who this maid is trying to hide. Wonder where Mr. Garradeb's wife could be. Right here.
Take that!
The same person, clearly. Your wedding ring gives us a handsome clue to the beast's current whereabouts. Indeed it does. The flowery band gleaming on your finger gives you away. For it is identical to the one shown in the hand of Mr. Garradeb's bride in this photographic print. In other words, you're no ordinary household maid. No. You are Mr. Garradeb's lucky bride. You are Mrs. Garradeb herself. Oh my word! Well, jolly fine detecting, sir. As you rightly surmise, this is the wife, yes, my Joanne. Rather let herself go, you might say, but she was baldly. Fear you don't live in the most comfortable of circumstances. After all, you're a retired army man, yet you are in the business of renting out rooms. I would assume, therefore, you have insufficient means to employ a maid. Would that be correct? It's not right, I tell you. I was second lieutenant of the 3rd Regiment. Man has his pride, you know. By golly, it's a sorry thing when a chap can't even afford to have a single maid in his employ. Yes, here in London, one is rather judged. Household cannot be considered worthy of society if it employs no staff at all. Hear that, Mimikyu? Don't go living in London, or you won't be considered to be a real household. Though in my considered opinion, such concerns about appearances are folly. You mean Mr. Garradeb as his wife, work as his maid? Precisely. Am I right, Mr. Garradeb? Only in company, obviously. But listen here. Must be remain a secret. Tip-top secret, please. Wouldn't people... You shouldn't care, first off. But, like, wouldn't people know that she was his wife? Plainly clear, you have deep feelings for this formidable beast. Well, I was right on my first intuition that she's not actually his maid. Pain you feel is revealed by that supporting arm. This shows quite something, still calling Mr. Garradeb's wife a beast. Yes, as a woman, that feels rather uncomfortable. Mrs. Garradeb is standing beside her husband as we speak. In other words, he hasn't lost his beloved at all, has he? Oh, how true. Perhaps that supporting arm means to be propping up his head. Has some significance then. According to Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Gyarados' pain is tangible, though. What would that pose of his really signify?
Take that!
A slapped cheek? I thought that was just a tea spill, but nope, he's definitely got... So that explains why he's always had that side of his face presented to us. Definitely has a giant handprint on his face. And of course, the deliverer of that impressive mark on your cheek that refuses to fade was you, Madam Joanne Garrideb. Well, yeah. You've been desperate to hide the slap mark on your cheek, sir. Ugh. But you reveal it whenever you fall down. Though I thought it was just you spilling tea on yourself. How in the blazes? How'd you work that out, man? Nothing escapes the notice of one trained in the art of observation, my dear fellow. Even though I was totally wrong a second ago. That's why you haven't looked at us directly once, even once. To keep your other side from view. And from the front, he definitely just looks like the crescent moon with face emote. Now, let's proceed to the next conundrum. Why were you subjected to such a violent slap? In other words, we must ask ourselves what caused Madame Garrideb to fly into a rage. And we need only follow the direction of your gaze to find the answer. It's the pile of bills that given rise to a pain you suffer. Did Mr. Sholmes say the bills were for the lion fodder? Yeah, but now we know the lion never existed, which can only mean the thing responsible for gobbling up all that food was Mr. Garrideb's wife. She's a person, not a thing. Yeah, well... She's also a person who gave her husband a mighty slap around the face. Once so hard it left a perfect hand mark, in fact. Yeah, why would a woman want to hit her husband with such force, I wonder? I mean, I want to toss you out a window, but we're not married. I'd love to know the answer to that question. I don't know if you're reading this book at the moment. There's a bookmark here, look. Mr. Garrideb's clearly an avid reader. Oh, wait a minute. I don't think this is a bookmark. Oh no, it isn't. It's a note written in a woman's hand. Is his name James? Yours, Mary. Look next to the signature here. Lip marks made with lipstick. What a passionate, romantic gesture. Don't get any ideas, Sasato. Oh dear, I'm sorry. This bookmark is actually a love note then.
Take that!
Yeah, this love note's been given rise to the pain you suffer. Oh, James, I love you. Yours, Mary. Passionate indeed. Perhaps the sender of this note is certain Miss Mary is the fly in the ointment here? Ah, why? I didn't even do anything. I don't know the Bali woman. You don't know her? No, it wasn't written to me. Just in the book. I don't know how it got there. It was just in there, you say? That's right, I've been... Ah! A likely story. Now listen here, Joanne. Old thing, I explained at the time. Is his name even James? No, his name is John. We don't know any James. I bought the book in secondhand place. That note must have already been there. Previous owner of the book usually knows the bookmark you mean. That's right, what happened? Ah! A likely story. For heaven's sake, woman, look at the name. It's written to James. My name, in case you've forgotten, and had to just check in the court record, is John. A likely story. Are you questioning my name now? Ah.
And there we have it. Arouse the suspicions of a female heart, and you unleash a beast with the most ferocious bite. Arrgh. Now, in the final fit of rage, the ferocious beast carried out one last unimaginable attack. Unimaginable? The aftermath, which can be clearly seen by observing the carpet over there. A very expensive woolen carpet, if I'm not mistaken. Oh dearie me. What could have caused such a destructive outburst? How? Yeah, it would. If she backhanded him, it'd be on the other side of his face and leave a sun on it. Your wandering eyes settle upon the answer very neatly indeed. To explain the dire state of the carpet, we need only take the Tower of Cakes. Or the missing candle. But surely Mr. Garrett didn't eat the carpet. No, of course not. There doesn't seem to be any doubt. State disarray the room is in as a result of her wild temper. No, that's true. This is the last part of Mr. Sholmes' deduction we need to fix. You only follow Mr. Garrett's days. Tell us the answer. Alright, let's see what we can see with our eyes. Looks like a very old candlestick, doesn't it? Base looks so small, surely it's unstable. Looks to me like even the slightest knock could make the thing topple over. Oh dear, that'd be dangerous. Wait, take a closer look at this. There's one candle missing. Why is that, I wonder? Why is one candle of the 3 missing from its holder? Could it be because it's on the floor? The carpet here has been ripped to shreds. Yes, and according to Mr. Sholmes' deduction, tears made by the tears match the sign of an Indian lion's teeth. Essentially, yes. Look closely at the edge, you can see scorch marks. Oh yeah, you can. Was it a fire-breathing lion? Perhaps the carpet wasn't eaten in a normal sense at all. Rethink this with that in mind.
Take that!
To explain the state of the carpet, we need only look at the candlestick. Most illuminating, my dear fellow, and of course the only possible way out of this logical labyrinth. Yeah, the remnants of a ferocious attack in which the carpet was devoured is clearly visible. Indeed, they are. The scorch marks at the edge clearly give the truth away. Scorch marks? Appear that this room was the scene of a little marital altercation. Mrs. Garrett's mighty arm muscles left an impression not only in their husband's face, but on the entire room. The force of her strike caused the candle to fall from the holder. And in seconds, the carpet was alight and the whole corner of the room in flames. Yes, For the most ferocious beast in the world is neither a violent lion nor a vengeful woman, but fire. And in this room, that ferocious beast bared its claws and ran amok. Eloquently put, my dear fellow. So you see, there's but one conclusion here. After the sparks of the martial discord flew, this room was the scene of a fire. Here's a tea. Get up. Mr. Sholmes, sir. I salute you! What about me? Oh, now it's a flip of their wedding picture. I'm assuming that she slapped him so hard he fell into the table, which then hit all the pots and pans on the wall, which also knocked over the candlestick. These dash-long winter nights, you know. Nothing to do but read in front of the fire. Luckily, there's a jolly good second-hand bookshop just around the corner. Buy all my old novels there. And in the pages of one particular novel, you discovered some rather illicit material.
For which your wife admonished you harshly, it seems.
Don't know about admonish. Demolish might be rather closer to the mark. And beast was like, ah!
Here we go again. And the carpet, was that destroyed by a fire when the candle fell on the floor?
Afraid to say it was. Happened in the blink of an eye, you know. Whole place filled with smoke. Couldn't see bally thing. I was caught between the old stick's rage and a raging flames. You paint a torrid picture, sir. One that would have been most entertaining.
That's sympathy for you. It's sympathetic until it's funny.
Didn't take long for the fire to spread, of course. The bally furniture started going up as well. Had to hide the mess between that screen for the time being.
Over here, Mr. Garrett? Well, you have nothing more to hide now, if you allow me.
Yeesh. Had all my favorite old novels in that case. As soon as the fire got a hold of them, that was it. Whoosh, up in smoke.
Gosh.
And the wife started hurling things at me.
What a terrible sight it must have been.
There was I, back up against the window under heavy enemy fire. Cindery books coming at me 10 to the dozen. Worst of all it is, I lost my favorite. Book called The Lion's Pride.
The Lion's Pride. Ah, yes, your notorious love of big cats coming through again.
I assure you the title didn't influence my choice the slightest.
Poor man really did lose something dear to him as a result of the ferocious beast's rampage. Mr. Sholmes' deductions turned out to be correct once again. It can only be described as great British wonder. They weren't really correct, though.
Told you it was total carnage. Flames everywhere and an old stick in the full throttle.
Out of interest, what time of day was that?
Not sure I can remember. 2 days ago now. Let's see, around 5 o'clock, I think.
Did she throw a knife at him and it flew out the window and stabbed a lady in the back? No, that would be too simple. There has to be some twists and turns here. But that would explain why the lady didn't die. Exactly the same time as a terrifying incident was unfolding outside your window in the street below.
Humph, even more terrifying on the inside, I can assure you. Oh, Riley could have been flattened outside my window at that moment, and I wouldn't have noticed a dash thing.
Oh, really? Hey, she's no longer labeled as maid. Mr. Sholmes.
Yes, Mr. Naruhodo, what can I do for you?
I think we got to the bottom of Mr. Garrett's situation now. What does that have to do with Mr. Natsume's circumstances?
I can't help you there, I'm afraid. My dear fellow, if you recall, I did say as much from the outset. I warned you that although I knew the retired army man to be hiding something, I could not be sure whether his secret would prove to be relevant or not.
I just knew you were gonna say that.
Now, Mr. Naruto, you mustn't lose heart. Bear in mind that all things fall into one of only two categories. Those relevant to the case, and those not.
That makes no sense to me.
Well, no matter. It's of far greater importance that you make up your mind now.
Sorry?
Visiting hours of the prison will soon be over.
Oh no, and that time already? We're to accept Mr. Natsume's case. We have official paperwork to attend to. So that's it. No more time to think. It's do or die. How'd you like to partake yourselves in bidding us farewell now? We must prepare supper for Mr. Garradeb. Oh yeah, I'm so sorry. Thank you very much for your time. So sick you will be waiting for us, and I'm gonna have to give him an answer.
To prison! Do not collect 200 crowns.
Hey, wait a second. This isn't prison. This is the road. Let's hurry back to prison. I did press the road, the prison, right? Oh, what's the matter? Looks like something's going on over there in front of Garredib's house. Hmm? You know, the place we just came out of. Well, I think we found the clown of the circus that's nearby. I know thee not, old man. Fall to thy prayers. Oh, this guy reminds me of someone. Who does he remind me of? That face looks so familiar, like one of the other characters. Who are you calling an old man, you rum-looking nimbity-pimbity? No, not Popeye, from one of the other games. There was another old man that had this exact same face. Well, I don't know if it's who I'm thinking of, but... Oh, there's a T-posing judge. That's scary. Victor Kudo. I think that's who I was thinking of. Yeah, there's just a picture of a judge's 3D model T-posing. Alright, someone open the door. But here's your T-posing judge. It was not a Penny. Penny did not open the door. Who are you calling an old man, you rum-looking nimmity-pimmity? There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt in your philosophy. Blocked by malware bytes. I'm sorry. It was just on Google, so... I can't delete my own message. Sad days.
Who's this Horatio fella, eh? What do you want about?
I'm sorry I infected you with malware. Although I also opened it, so I guess I infected myself with malware. Well, do a virus scan when you can.
Eh? What the? Who are you now?
I'm sorry, I just looked as though there might be some problem here. My associate here, Mr. Ryusuke Naruto, is a lawyer, you see.
Eh? Lawyer? What? What's a lawyer?
I could be of any assistance, I'd be happy to help. I'm from Japan, but I've studied English law.
Fine, I'll be on my way for today, but you mark my words. This ain't over yet.
Get thee to a nunnery!
Do I look like a bloomin' nun to you? Or a bloomin' onion? I'm gonna go have a bloomin' onion.
Do hope you're not injured. Oh, fair Eastern maiden, thou art so gentle. Thank you.
What was that all about?
There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt in your philosophy.
I'm not Horatio either.
Forgive the inquiry, sir, but are you a lodger here? In the Garradeb residence? Oh, fair Eastern maiden, thou art so right. Yes, I dwell in this humble abode.
Mr. Garrett mentioned he had another lodger, didn't he? Must be the man, if you can call him that. Happen to know the other lodger who lived on the first floor?
Ah, yes, a gentleman named Natsume. Oh, more worthy a polemist than in my battle of words never could there be.
Sorry, battle did you say?
Who was the stronger, Hamlet or Macbeth? Mr. Natsume and I sparred long into the night.
I see.
Oh, they're friends.
I don't fully understand, but it seems Mr. Natsume and this gentleman are acquaintances at least.
So fair maiden, so good gentleman. I can tarry here no longer. Fare thee well.
I didn't really understand him, but I think he's returned to his room. Seems unaware of what's happened to Mr. Natsume, so he can't really help us. With Soseki and that man's lodgers, the Garradeb household is certainly full of eccentrics. Anyway, I'll go find a carriage. Sure, Mr. Natsume is eagerly waiting our return. Hope we get to the prison before the visiting hours are over. A shame we, got distracted.
Here he is. Our favorite guy. Oh, it's you! You're here! You came! Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire! I can't believe you came back! I'm so touched!
So sorry to have kept you waiting, Mr. Natsume.
Oh no, think nothing of it! Relax! If I were a cat, I would purr with pleasure at the company of such fine compatriots! Noble, nurturing, never failing Nipponese!
Oh no, let's get not carried away.
I quite agree. There's nothing reassuring than the familiarities of one's native land. On the other hand... Oh. Do you like my impression of Mr. Von Zeke? It's through friendship transcending international borders that one truly appreciates the fact. Such is my belief, at least. Oh yes, it is. It's you! The miserable, rotten spy! Herlock Sholmes!
Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing here?
I have no intention of doing anything, per se, save observing, of course.
Whatever do you mean, Mr. Sholmes?
Well, having encountered some curious reading material in that gloomful room, and having unmasked the secret identity of that eccentric pair, I decided I should drop in on my way home to see how our divested friend is faring. Gloomful room. At least your accommodations here offers a window, my dear fellow. In that sense, it's a superior option. Anyway, I must commend you on your taste in books. My day has been a delight, and you cost me not a penny. Ah, you! How dare you, Herlock Sholmes! Ugh. I've had it. I'm through. I'm at the end of my rope. I should have never come to Great Britain. It was a terrible mistake. Haunted by spirits in their cursed lodgings. No doubt my luck will be cursed in tomorrow's trial as well. My whole life has been danged.
What are you thinking, Mr. Naruto? Mentioned that once before, didn't he? His lodgings were cursed, I mean.
And there's much truth in Mr. Mustache's words. Cursed is a wholly appropriate description, I would say, for the man's lodgings, and indeed for tomorrow's trial.
What is that supposed to mean? What do you mean by what you said just now? About the trial tomorrow being cursed.
Oh no, why are you looking so grave? You're making me nervous. I was just gonna get away, that's all. I didn't mean anything by it.
Oh, I see. That's really agitated him.
You don't mean the trial really is cursed somehow? In a manner of speaking.
You referring to the prosecutor? The Reaper of the Bailey?
The Reaper? Oh no, what do you mean? Please tell me. Summarize its solicitancy in 16 salient words.
No defendants ever survived a trial in which the Reaper stands for the prosecution. Ever.
Oh my goodness, can it really be true? That was 16 words exactly!
It was? I wonder if that was true in Japanese. Yesterday, Mr. Naruto successfully defended someone against the Reaper. But then, after the trial was over... They didn't even try to hook her hands together there, did they? Defendant passed away in unusual circumstances.
What? I'm impressed, Miss Sasato. You have an eye for detail.
Well, we were just told that. Lord Chief Justice told us. Mr. Sholmes, surely it can't be that having failed to have the accused convicted, Lord Van Zieks killed the man himself. Oh no, he couldn't have, surely.
You have some wonderful notions. The man isn't a mass murderer, he's a court prosecutor, my dear fellow.
Oh, yes. Why, of course he is.
Ugh, of course he is. Then why are you trying to scare me?
It could be said, however, that the real truth about the man is even more terrifying than your hypothesis. In the omnibus, yes. Apparently he was the one that was in there. Or so we've been led to believe. I've yet to see a body. What on earth do you mean by that? The Reaper. Van Zieks is quite an exceptional man. However, in London courts of law, exceptional does not equate to winning every case without exception.
Ah, that's good.
Soseki looks like he's gonna cry tears of joy.
You are no doubt aware, in British criminal trial, there is both a judge and a jury. The judge officiates based on the letter of law, while the jury offers public opinion and common sense. They don't. They have no common sense. It is an excellent system where the defendant's guilt is considered from several points of view. However, public opinion in particular is somewhat easily manipulated.
Right.
Criminals and corrupt lawyers, for that matter, can use it to their advantage, by any means at their disposal, contriving evidence, calling imposters as witnesses, and so on. By such underhanded means, those who would want are able to sway the jury, which means that even in the light of irrefutable evidence, the prosecution can fail.
But it means the wrong verdict can be passed.
And sadly, is from time to time, my dear madam, is the simple reality of the situation.
Is that alright?
However, those indicted by Lord Van Zieks cannot escape justice. Their fate is sealed. Though the adjudication may see them leave the courtroom with their freedom, within months they all disappear. It is most striking.
Disappear? But how?
By all manner of misfortune, sir. Perhaps they are trampled under a passing carriage. Perhaps they fall into the Thames and drown. Perhaps they are suddenly overcome by a raging fever. Or perhaps attacked by highwaymen. Perhaps they get transported into another world after being hit by an omnibus. Nobody knows.
Isekai! I am so seki, not so kei.
All examples of the reality of events here in London, I'm afraid, Mr. Naruhodo.
I knew it. I'm dead. Doo-doo. Done for. Doomed. Okay. You said accursed lodgings before. You were referring to your room at Mr. Garadeb's house, I assume. Say the place is cursed?
It's been a year now since I came to Great Britain. But I'd only been in London a week before I started noticing strange feelings in myself.
That didn't take long then.
Everywhere I looked, there were foreign faces staring at me, laughing behind my back. I was sure people were talking about me. I started to become nervous going outside. They were all staring at me, all the time, from dawn till dusk. So I shut myself away in my room, but even that didn't help. The fear wouldn't go away.
Must have been very lonely having been from your homeland for such a long time.
I've had to move a number of times, most easily to the room on the road a week ago now.
Yeah, why'd you choose there? Seems a little inconvenient.
The rent is cheap. I have so little money, it appealed to me straight away. Of course, I asked why it was so affordable. The landlord just simpered and said, "The room is cursed. Oops." Really tried to cover up his mistake, but it was too late, so I told him. If you have something to say, then say it, but if not, don't mention it in the first place.
Yeah, well said.
But it was so true. It was just true.
You mean the room really is cursed then?
Ever since I moved to that windowless room, my sleep has been plagued with nightmares. I wake feeling as though I'm being choked to death. And in my waking hours, people are stabbed in front of me as I walk down the street. I'm branded a killer, thrown into a prison. Nobody wants to know me. I'm surrounded by scary, sinister spirits. It's all because I yelled at the Faye family before I left. Though there was someone, just one person by my side, and no one finds his or her heart to believe in me. Really, no one at all.
To believe, yeah. To believe. To believe. Believe it. Mr. Shelms.
Ah, me, Mr. Naruto? What can I do for you?
About the case on the SS Buria, if you recall.
The Buria. Ah, that case. The one with the snake?
Well, yeah. At the time I was a suspect, but you believed in me and listened to my side of the story. You helped us investigate.
I did I? Interesting.
What I want to know is, why? Why did you believe in me?
I don't know what you're referring to, but maybe. Yes, you mean... because you were a grimly distressed, shady Eastern fellow, bound with the victim in a locked room?
Well, if you like, yeah.
I'm a little surprised the answer requires an explanation, my dear fellow. It's quite simple, really. You said, I didn't do it.
But I could have been lying. Surely you had your doubts. You must have suspected me a little.
I think perhaps you misunderstood. I neither recall believing in you, nor in which you were telling me.
What?
You see, the only things I believe in are those I choose to believe in.
What do you mean, Mr. Sholmes?
I make up my own mind about what is to be believed and what is not. If I should like to believe in something, I do. The circumstances can hang as far as I'm concerned.
And I could have betrayed your trust.
Haha! In that case, I should have made an elementary error of judgment, nothing more. Betrayal of trust is an overused excuse, in my opinion.
Meaning?
Whether or not one should trust another is the final analysis down to oneself. It's a matter of whether or not one can trust oneself. Yes, he's right. He is right. Locum student of Mr. Naruto Esquire.
Whether or not I can believe myself. Kazuma.
Vince Lawyer is always good as his faith in his client. And that comes down to how much faith he has in himself.
You were so right, Kazuma. If only I could hear your voice again from your sword. Your sharp wit.
Well, my dear fellows, time we were leaving, I believe.
Already?
Visiting hours are over. The guard will be here shortly to escort us out. Restaurant near here that serves excellent trout. Would you like to join me? I would love to join you, but I'm currently stuck behind these bars.
Oh dear, there's never enough time, is there? Mr. Natsume, if you'd like, in the trial tomorrow, I'd be happy to represent you.
Locum student, Mr. Naruto Esquire.
As I said, I've only experienced British courtroom for the first time yesterday. And although the man I was representing was found not guilty, I lost sight of something crucial.
Something crucial?
What to believe in, the defendant, justice, or the truth? How to believe, even. But I think I finally worked it out. I decide I must believe in myself above all else. To trust my instincts. My instincts are telling me that you, Mr. Natsumi, are innocent of this crime. It's imperative we prove that in court.
Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire.
I'll fight for your innocence until the bitter end with every weapon available to me. Especially if I have to stab someone. Hope you permit me to represent you tomorrow.
As I said when we first met, I'd like to entrust my fate to someone who will listen to me in my native tongue.
Of course, Mr. Natsumi.
Be fair to say, Mr. Naruhodo, that your mind was in many ways made up from the outset. You merely needed the events of today to fully realize it.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Been a roundabout journey, but I got here in the end. Why am I flashing back to this? Mr. Sato, would you be willing to stand by my side tomorrow and help me in court? Absolutely. As I said this morning, may consider me your personal judicial assistant. Well, yeah, that's what you're employed as. Documents of yesterday's trial still weigh heavily on my mind. Time to stop looking backwards. Kazuma believed in me, and Mr. Sholmes believes in me now too, if he remembers who I am. So it's time. Time that I learn to believe in myself. Soseki has no one. He's all alone. So it's my job to help him. To fight in his corner. Tomorrow in the courtroom. With all the strength I can muster. To be continued.
Yep, all it takes is losing your best friend to get character development. That's how I changed. But with that, everyone, I think that we will call it because I am starving. I didn't actually eat anything earlier. So, I hope you all enjoyed the Ace Attorney stream, and next time we will actually be in court again. I don't know if that'll be tomorrow, depends on what I feel like doing. But at the very least, I hope you all have a good night and enjoyed the stream. Thanks so much for watching and for being there. Even if I had pretty poor voice acting today. Anyway, bye for now, and goodbye, Penny Appreciation.